Urban Cultivation, starting my immortal path from key refining level 1. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction, so please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story and all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter, and if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 401 You, too, will die. This man is powerful. We're no match for him. Saving our lives is paramount. Go back and inform the Patriarch to come and kill him. Yes, I'll also report this to the ancient cave master and ask him to punish this man. The two peak Xianzong masters were subordinates of the Shenchangdu family and Gu Hongyu, respectively. Realizing they couldn't defeat Su Yang, they immediately fled without hesitation. Can you escape? Su Yang, naturally aware of this, a playful smile played on his lips, his eyes gleaming with murderous intent. Then, with a thought, a golden longsword suddenly appeared in his hand, emanating a magnificent divine power. Immediately afterwards, Su Yang, holding the sky sword, stood still, continuously raising his hand to wield it. Streams of golden crescent-shaped sword energy emanated, striking out with overwhelming force. Puff, puff, puff. Over a dozen sword energy sliced through the bodies of the two peak Xianzong masters. In an instant, blood splattered everywhere, and the two men suddenly appeared, their bodies falling heavily to the ground. I told you to come out, but you chose to flee. Haha, naive. Now that I've chosen to take action, how could I let you get away? Su Yang, holding the azure sky sword and a sinister smile on his face, strode towards the two peak level Xianzong masters. Palace Master, your divine power is unparalleled. Please think twice before you act. Don't let small things get you in trouble. Indeed, now that the three of us are united in oppressing your Medicine King Palace, you'd better let us go. Otherwise, my cave master, Gu Hongyu, will not let the Medicine King Palace off, let alone you. The two peak level Xianzong masters spoke up, one of them directly threatening Su Yang. Are you Gu Hongyu's subordinate? Su Yang's gaze fell on the man. Exactly, the man, assuming Su Yang was frightened, sneered. Su Yang, your Medicine King Palace only has one half-step divine master. You're powerless to resist the oppression of our three forces. If you consider the overall situation, then, however, before he could finish his words, Su Yang suddenly struck out, wielding the azure sky sword. Puff. The next moment, a sharp golden sword energy severed his throat. Blood splattered 3 feet away, and the sound abruptly stopped. A bloody head rolled to the ground. Gu Hongyu is someone I must kill. Haha, you're threatening me with her, Su Yang sneered repeatedly, then his gaze fell on the last person, and he said coldly, just now, you also threatened me, so, with that, Su Yang suddenly swung his sword. Without a trace of hesitation, he harvested the man's life in an instant. Then, without even a glance at him, Su Yang wiped the blood from the sky sword and said indifferently, you, too, will die, wow. With a wave of his hand, he killed 2 more peak-level Xianzong masters. This scene shocked all the members of the Medicine King Hall present. The Palace Master is so powerful. With this level of strength, he must have reached the level of a half-step divine sect, right? This is unbelievable. The Palace Master doesn't have any secrets to maintain his youthful appearance. He's only in his 20s. To possess the strength of a half-step divine sect at such a young age is simply unheard of. The old Palace Master is known for his foresight, and Medicine King Hall has Palace Master Su Yang. When he matures, who in the ancient martial arts world will dare to bully the Medicine King Hall? Everyone's face was filled with joy, especially Zhao Keihan. Although he and Su Yang had some minor disagreements before, he was committed to the prosperity of Medicine King Hall. Seeing the new Palace Master slaughtering all around, displaying his invincibility, Zhao Keihan was naturally delighted. At this moment, after defeating 3 peak-level Xianzong warriors, Su Yang sheathed his sky sword and walked into Ravine Villa with a smile on his face. Welcome, Palace Master. Zhang Xiaoyu immediately knelt on one knee, clasped his hands together, and saluted respectfully. Welcome, Palace Master. Welcome, Palace Master. Welcome, Palace Master. Immediately, all the doctors present, including the elders, knelt before Su Yang and bowed. Yes, rise. Su Yang nodded, then his gaze fell on Zhang Xiaoyu, asking, How is Zhang Zhongyu's injury, Palace Master? It's still the same. Hu Shimiao and my father are treating him, but there's no sign of improvement, Zhang Xiaoyu replied. I understand. Take me to see him, Su Yang ordered. Yes, Zhang Xiaoyu complied respectfully. Then, led by Zhang Xiaoyu, Su Yang quickly met Zhang Zhongyu in an antique-style room. Master, Palace Master, Master, Su Shanju, Zhang Ruomu, and Hua Shimiao greeted Su Yang with the utmost respect. Yes, Su Yang nodded gently, and without further ado, he proceeded to examine Zhang Zhongyu's injuries. All of you go out. I'll take care of his injuries. Don't disturb me for a while, Su Yang said calmly. Yes, upon hearing this, everyone bent down and left the room, leaving only Su Yang and the unconscious Zhang Zhongyu. His injuries aren't serious. I can heal him in less than half an hour. Su Yang's gaze fell on Zhang Zhongyu, and his face was solemn. However, this old man has lived too long. His lifespan has been depleted, and he's almost exhausted. Even if his injuries heal, he probably won't last more than 2 days, unless, Su Yang paused, then said, unless he can break through to the divine sect realm, which would add several dozen years to his lifespan, but helping him reach the divine sect level would require consuming some medicinal herbs. After a moment's deliberation, Su Yang finally decided, well, forget it. Let's help him. Even if I give him some of the resources in my storage ring, it'll still be enough for me to build my foundation. Besides, the Medicine King Hall is so vast. Now that I am the Palace Master, do I still have to worry about lacking resources? At this thought, Su Yang smiled and immediately began to heal Zhang Zhongyu. Healing first, then breaking through. Outside the room, Zhang Ruomu, Zhang Xiaoyu, and the elders of the Medicine King Hall all breathed a sigh of relief when they saw Su Yang treating Zhang Zhongyu. If the Palace Master takes action, it will surely be foolproof. Zhang Ruomu looked relieved, but then he turned worriedly and said, Alice, now that the three forces have joined forces to oppress the Medicine King Palace, what should we do? Even if the ancestor recovers, he will not be able to resist the 3 half-step divine sect masters. Palace Master, just now outside, Palace Master Su Yang single-handedly killed 3 peak-level heavenly sect masters, and did it with ease. It is estimated that Palace Master Su Yang has already stepped into the half-step divine sect. At this time, Zhao Keihan said, with the help of Palace Master Su Yang, I believe our Medicine King Palace will not lose too badly. At the very least, we will be qualified to negotiate with the 3 forces and strive to give up less resources. The Palace Master has stepped into the half-step divine sect. Ha. The ancestor's decision was indeed correct. Heaven is willing to prosper our Medicine King Palace. Zhang Ruomu was overjoyed. He turned to look at Zhao Keihan and said seriously, Elder Zhao, I need to remind you that I am no longer the Palace Master. Don't call me Palace Master anymore. The Medicine King Palace has only one Palace Master, and his surname is Su. Yes, it was my negligence, Zhao Keihan said hurriedly. Father, you will be the Grand Master. At this moment, Zhang Xiaoyu said, the second Grand Master made a mistake and has been killed by me. You will be the Grand Master, and I will take over his position as the second Grand Master. What happened to the second Grand Master? Zhang Ruomu, still unaware of what had happened in Kyoto, was immediately filled with confusion. Zhang Xiaoyu concealed nothing and told him everything. At this moment, in a quiet farmhouse on the outskirts of Jiangbei, beneath a great trellis, a tea set and 2 rattan chairs sat 2 people sipping tea. One of them, dressed in a dark robe, was in his 50s, not particularly old. He was Du Mingyun, the head of the Du family and Shencheng and Du Hongjian's older brother. The other was an elderly woman with white hair and a wrinkled face, clearly in her 80s. This person was Prince Ping's maternal grandmother, Gu Hongyu, one of the masters of the 3-cave bridge. Chapter 402, The Du Family's Martial Arts in Deep City. Master Du, where has Zhang Changshen gone? We're heading to the Medicine King Hall tonight, so why hasn't he shown up yet? Could he be hoping to get something for nothing? Gu Hongyu spoke calmly. Senior Gu, you've misunderstood, Du Mingyun chuckled softly. Sect Master Zhang contacted me last night. He's currently residing at the Jiangbei Li family residence. He'll arrive at Evian Villa tonight to await us and join us. Although the Jiangbei Li family is a small clan, my research reveals they have 2 stunning women. I'm sure Sect Master Zhang was just feeling the urge, so, Du Mingyun hesitated. HMPH, Gu Hongyu, understanding Du Mingyun's unspoken words, seemed to disdain Zhang Changshen. With a cold snort, she said, "How can someone so lustful accomplish anything great? I'll never work with him again, Senior Gu, you're too kind. Sect Master Zhang just has a few minor quirks, they're nothing serious," Du Mingyan said, smoothing the situation over. "What he is like has nothing to do with me, so I won't mention him." Gu Hongyu took a sip of tea, and her eyes fell on Du Mingyan. She smiled curiously and said, "Master Du, we agreed in advance that your Shenchang Du family, our Sandong Bridge, and the Iron Fist sect must send at least one half-step divine sect member to jointly put pressure on the Medicine King Palace. That old pervert Zhang Changsheng is quite powerful. He is also a leader among the half-step divine sect members. Needless to say, I have been famous for many years and am infinitely close to the divine sect realm." Gu Hongyu then asked, "But Master Du, where's your Du family's half-step divine sect member? There are some rumors outside that the master of the Shenchang Du family has reached the half-step divine sect realm, but I have observed you for several days, and you are only in the late stage of the heavenly sect." Gu Hongyu smiled lightly. "Master Du, can you explain?" "Senior Gu, the rumors outside are not wrong, and your observations are not wrong either." Du Mingyan smiled and said, "However, Senior Gu, you seem to know very little about our Du family's martial arts." "That's true. Your Du family is far away in Shenzhen, quite a distance from our Sandong Bridge." Gu Hongyu nodded and said, "Plus, I lived in the mountains for a long time and later moved to Kyoto. I don't leave my house all year round. I don't know much about the affairs of the nearby sects, let alone your Du family. Now that we're joining forces to force the Medicine King Palace, we're considered allies. Could Master Du tell us a little bit?" "Haha, of course I can. It's not a secret." Du Mingyan smiled heartily and spread his palm. Instantly, a black mist emerged from his palm, swirling and surging. "What is this?" Gu Hongyu asked, gazing at the black mist. "So," Du Mingyan smiled gently and said, "to be precise, this is the soul of our Du family's ancestor. Our Du family's martial arts are unpredictable. We can invite souls to possess our bodies and enhance our strength," Du Mingyan continued, "but the souls we invite can only be the ancestors of the Du family, our Du family's ancestors who have set foot in the divine sect realm for generations. After their death, their souls will be preserved and become gas without independent consciousness." Du Mingyan continued, "The Du family's martial arts are passed down from father to son, not from mother to daughter. All male direct descendants of the Du family can choose the soul of an ancestor and enter their body. During battle, you can invite the soul of an ancestor to possess your body and gain powerful strength in a short period of time." Du Mingyan continued, "As the head of the Du family, the soul of my ancestor is naturally the strongest, although my current real realm is only the late Xianzong. If I invite the ancestor to possess my body, I will instantly possess powerful power. For example, like this." As soon as he finished speaking, Du Mingyan slapped the black mist in his palm into his body, muttering to himself, "Invite the ancestors to possess me." Ahum. Instantly, a terrifying surge of true ki echoed through the scene, its powerful force causing objects to tremble slightly. If it weren't for Gu Hongyu's careful protection, the tea set and rattan chair would have been shattered. "Senior Gu, do you still doubt my strength now?" Du Mingyan, imbued with the power of his ancestors, his hair stood on end, his robes fluttering, and he exuded a fierce aura. Even his eyes changed, looking down on everything. "All right, Patriarch Du, please accept your divine power," Gu Hongyu said softly, a hint of respect in her tone. Previously, Gu Hongyu had treated Du Mingyan as a junior and therefore treated him with some indifference. But now, Gu Hongyu recognized the immense strength of the Patriarch Du and naturally gave him a higher regard. Du Mingyan smiled, and the black mist around him dissipated, his strength returning to the level of a Xianzong. "Master Du." At this moment, Gu Hongyu looked at Du Mingyan and said meaningfully, "I can sense that you've concealed some of your strength. Half-step divine sect, that's probably not your full potential, right? Senior Gu, your eyes are sharp. I can't hide it from you." Du Mingyan didn't deny it, but instead asked, "However, Senior Gu, when I asked the ancestor to possess me just now, I noticed that you weren't given half-step divine sect either. I guess you've already taken that step, right? Haha, you're quite an interesting young man." Gu Hongyu simply chuckled twice and didn't directly answer the question. Instead, she said, "This year's 100 Sects Martial Arts Competition and Famous Mountain Challenge will be very exciting. Sects in the ancient martial arts world are generally divided into 3 tiers: second tier, and first tier. First tier forces are the most powerful. But this is merely a low-ranking position. Truly powerful sects, without even participating in these rankings, possess renowned mountains and rivers, and possess abundant cultivation resources. These renowned mountains and rivers include Mount Tai, the site of the Fengshan ceremony, Mount Laotian, nestled between the mountains and the sea, and Mount Lushan, nestled deep in the clouds and mist. These three mountains naturally produce abundant medicinal herbs, and the ancient martial arts sects within them are incredibly powerful, contributing to their enduring legacy. Other examples include Mount Bodhi, a sacred Buddhist site, and Mount Wudang, the birthplace of Taoism. Therefore, a truly powerful sect isn't determined by its rank or ranking, but by its location. Sects like the Du clan of Shencheng and the Three Dong Bridge seem somewhat inferior in comparison. Of course, the ancient martial arts world undergoes rankings every few decades, giving powerful sects the opportunity to challenge the various renowned mountains. Successful challenges can drive out the remaining sects and relocate their own to these renowned mountains. Because the renowned mountains maintain mutual protection and prohibit unauthorized seizures, these once-in-a-decade challenges are the only chance for ordinary sects to establish themselves within the system. Simply put, establishing a dominant position in a renowned mountain is equivalent to becoming a sect within the system. Other sects, even those of the highest rank, are considered outside the system as long as they haven't entered the realm of a renowned mountain. Sects within the system enjoy numerous advantages, including opportunities to interact with powerful sects and achieve immortality. Therefore, all forces outside the system eagerly await entry into the system through the challenge. Gu Hongyu, having waited decades, naturally wanted to use the famous mountain challenge to relocate her faction to famous mountain. The 100 Sects martial arts competition is a test of young talent, while the famous mountain challenge is a clash of veteran masters. Gu Hongyu took that step, choosing a lesser-known mountain, to increase her chances of success. Now that she knew Du Mingyan possessed the same skill, she spoke with such confidence. Haha, Senior Gu, don't worry, we won't be competitors. Du Mingyan smiled. Our Du family currently has no plans to move out of Shenzhen, so we won't be participating in the famous mountain challenge. However, our young talents are quite interested in this year's 100 Sects martial arts competition and will certainly compete, Du Mingyan said. Yes, Gu Hongyu nodded, without further comment. Master, suddenly, a servant of the Du family came running over and said anxiously, oh no. Elder Tangsu has been killed. At the same time, a disciple from the Three Caves Bridge also appeared in a hurry. Master Gu, the fifth elder is also dead. Killed by Medicine King Hall Master Su Xuantian. Chapter 403 Angry Du Mingyan. What? Gu Hongyu's face instantly turned ugly after hearing the news reported by his disciples. A hint of murderous intent flashed in his eyes, and he said coldly, the Medicine King Palace is so bold, are they planning to tear their faces with us? Humph, looking at the entire Medicine King Palace, there is only one half-step divine sect previously, it was only Zhang Changsheng who took action to suppress it. He has already given enough face to the Medicine King Palace, Gu Hongyu said in a deep voice. It seems that this Medicine King Palace does not take our threat seriously and is determined to be our enemy. Senior Gu, please calm down. Du Mingyan's face was not good either, but he took the overall situation into consideration and said, let's get things clear first. We have already figured out the details of the Medicine King Palace. Evian Villa has no power to compete with us. Why would they let people wipe out the masters we sent to monitor them? There must be something fishy about this. Yes, Gu Hongyu nodded lightly after hearing this, and at the same time calmed down. He looked at his disciples and said lightly, who do you say killed the fifth elder? The master of Medicine King Hall is Su Yang, the disciple said truthfully. Gu Hongyu frowned. Isn't the master of Medicine King Hall Zhang Ruomu, reporting to the cave master? It seems that not long ago, Medicine King Hall elected a new master. The disciple continued, I only know the new master is Su Yang, but I don't know his background. Su Yang, Gu Hongyu frowned slightly, clearly knowing very little about the name. Du Mingyan was the same. For the past few days, he and Gu Hongyu had been plotting against Medicine King Hall together, and they knew nothing about what was happening in Kyoto. Senior Gu, Du Mingyan speculated, this Su Yang seems no ordinary person. He can actually replace Zhang Ruomu. He must be an elderly, senior expert. We need to be careful, Master. Master, I've heard a piece of news. The new master of the Medicine King Hall seems to be the dandy young master of the Jiangbei Su family. He's not very old, only in his 20s, a servant of the Du family said, and he has another name, Su Xuantian. What? Upon hearing the name Su Xuantian, Du Mingyan suddenly stood up, murderous intent blazing in his eyes. Why, Master Du, do you know this man? Gu Honggai asked. No, Du Mingyan gritted his teeth, his face sullen, and said, but my sister and nephew died at the hands of Su Xuantian. My Du family has a deep hatred for him, and it won't end until one of us dies. Regarding Du Hongjian's death, Du Mingyan initially believed that Du Hongjian's affair with Chu Fusheng had been exposed, leading to the Shi family's father and son's purging of the family. Later, after further investigation, Du Mingyan discovered that his sister's murderer was a young man named Su Xuantian. Su Xuantian had killed not only his sister but also his nephew, a deep-seated hatred. Therefore, upon hearing Su Xuantian's name, Du Mingyan was furious, his eyes piercing with coldness. You just said that Su Yang, the dandy young master of the Jiangbei Su family, is the young master Su Xuantian. Du Mingyan calmed down and asked, as if to confirm. Yes, the servant of the Du family continued, at the same time, he is also the master of the Medicine King Hall. He is very powerful and can easily kill 3 peak-level Xianzong masters. The hunchback master of the Iron Fist sect was also killed. Great, the Su family, Su family, I didn't expect you to hide so deeply. Everyone has been deceived by you. Du Mingyan narrowed his eyes and said to himself, Yuan, you gave birth to a good son, but it's a pity that he will die tonight. I will twist off his head with my own hands and avenge my sister and nephew, Master Du. At this time, Gu Honggai next to him couldn't help asking, do you know anything about Su Yang? How strong is he? Haha, Senior Gu, don't worry. He's just a young boy. How strong can he be? Du Mingyan said disdainfully, except for Sect Master Zhang. You and I both have the strength of the divine sect. Would we be afraid of a young man in his 20s, with Zhang's Honggai severely injured? The others in the Medicine King Hall are vulnerable. They will inevitably compromise with us and allow us to manipulate them, Du Mingyan said confidently. Yes, Gu Honggai nodded, but still puzzled. The Medicine King Hall has been passed down for so many years, why would they allow a young boy to be its master? Du Mingyan pondered for a moment and roughly guessed what the Medicine King Hall was thinking. Su Yang was Su Xuantian, which meant that Su Yang had a close relationship with Mount Tai, the Fengshan ceremonial site. Shi Haohan, the Lord of Mount Tai, was Su Yang's maternal grandfather by blood. The Medicine King Hall must have known this and hoped to use Su Yang to strengthen its relationship with the Fengshan ceremonial site, thereby urging the Lord of Mount Tai to intervene and protect the Medicine King Hall. However, the Medicine King Hall's wish was doomed to fail. Du Mingyan was certain that Shi Haohan would never interfere in this matter. The Su family's relationship with the Fengshan ceremonial site was extremely poor. Shi Haohan, in particular, loathed the Su family, and everyone in it, including his own grandson, Su Yang. If it weren't for the Su family, how could the brilliant Yu Yan have? Humph. In short, the Fengshan land certainly wouldn't have come forward to defend the Medicine King Hall just because of Su Yang. If Shi Haohan had wanted to defend it, he would have announced it long ago, not waited until now. The Medicine King Hall had gone so far as to temporarily replace its leader in an attempt to secure Shi Haohan's protection, but that plan was bound to fail. Although Du Mingyan thought he had guessed the reason, he kept it to himself, not Gu Honggai. Senior Gu, don't think too much. Maybe the Medicine King Palace just wants to find a scapegoat, Du Mingyan said casually. After all, we have not entered the famous mountain and do not belong to the sect within the system. If the Medicine King Palace compromises with us, it will surely lose face. Zhang Ruomu is so smart. He certainly doesn't want to do something that will bring him eternal infamy, so he temporarily replaced the Palace Master and let Su Yang sign a treaty with us in the name of the Palace Master to donate resources, so as to preserve his reputation. Du Mingyan's statement was well-reasoned and Gu Honggai thought it made sense, so she didn't doubt it anymore. Su Yang, huh? You killed my 5th elder, I can't let you go. At this time, Gu Honggai said in a deep voice, Master Du, since the Medicine King Palace has taken action, there is no need to wait until nightfall. Let's go to Ravine Villa now to avoid any trouble. Senior Gu, please be patient. Du Mingyan had calmed down and smiled softly. We are not in a hurry. It is the Medicine King Palace that should be anxious. Besides, we have already agreed with the Medicine King Palace that we cannot rashly change the time. So as not to give them a handle and appear aggressive, Doomingigin continued, although the Medicine King Palace is weak in martial arts, its influence is enormous. We can't rush things. Even a rabbit will bite when it is anxious. We can just take it slow, okay? Gu Hongyu said no more, and then closed his eyes to rest, waiting for the arrival of nightfall. Su Xuantian, Doomingigin showed a cold smile at the corner of his mouth and said in a deep voice, "Tonight, I will make sure you die without a burial place." Chapter 404, Emperor Shenzong Zhang's Hongyu. The stars shifted. Unconsciously, it was already dark. The moon rose to its summit, shrouding the earth in darkness. Doomingigin and Gu Hongyu had already led their respective men and set off for Evian Villa. Tonight was crucial for them, as it concerned cultivation resources. Success would grant them the opportunity to ascend to the prestigious mountain, establish themselves as a sect within the system, and grow in power. At this moment, Evian Villa. In a secluded room. During the day, Su Yang had first treated Zhang Hongyu's injuries, then helped him reach the divine sect realm. This process was slow, so Su Yang had only just stopped. Meanwhile, Zhang Hongyu had also successfully reached the divine sect realm. He sat cross-legged, his hands embracing the moon, radiating a terrifying aura of extraordinary strength. The divine sect realm is so terrifying. I'd have to use all my tricks to barely withstand a challenge. Su Yang stood aside, observing the meditating Zhang Hongyu, a smile playing on his face. Now that he had reached the divine sect realm, Zhang Hongyu felt even more confident tonight. Palace Master, at this moment, Zhang Hongyu opened his eyes, sensing his own realm, and was instantly overjoyed. However, he then cast a look of awe at Su Yang, attempting to rise and salute. Yes, Su Yang nodded, then said, "Don't move yet. You've just stepped into the divine sect, so consolidate your realm." Yes, Zhang Hongyu nodded respectfully and thanked him. "Thank you, Palace Master. Your kindness is immense. I will never forget it. This is what I should do. Besides, this is just the beginning. You will only become stronger in the future," Su Yang said calmly. "All right, hold still for a moment. I sense a large group approaching. I'm sure the three factions have arrived. I'll go out and take a look." "Palace Master, are you aware of the persecution of the Medicine King Palace?" Zhang Hongyu asked. Su Yang nodded and said, "Yes, that's why I came here, Palace Master. The Iron Fist sect, the Du family of Deep City, and Gu Hongyu of Three Dong Bridge. How despicable. A mere first-rate force dares to ask us for resources." Zhang Hongyu gritted his teeth and said, "Now that I've set foot in the divine sect, I must teach them a lesson. Don't worry, none of them can escape." Su Yang's lips curled slightly, and then he strode out of the room. The Palace Master's strength has improved so rapidly, Zhang Hongyu couldn't help but mutter to himself as he watched Su Yang leave. He remembered that when he first met Su Yang, he was unaware of his presence. Moreover, although Zhang Hongyu couldn't tell Su Yang's realm, he knew roughly where his combat power was. Later, Su Yang gradually improved, his strength increasing with each passing day, and he could now sense his presence. Gradually, Zhang Hongyu began to feel a little overwhelmed by Su Yang's strength. Now, Zhang Hongyu, having reached the divine sect realm, thought he could see through Su Yang, but he found the Palace Master even more enigmatic. Such rapid progress was unheard of. "Old Master of the Xianji sect, you're not lying?" Zhang Hongyu smiled with satisfaction, then gritted his teeth and said, "Zhang Changshen, you injured me earlier, and today I'll make you pay." And Doomingigin, patriarch of the Du family, and Gu Hongyu of Sandong Bridge, don't even think about escaping. With this thought in mind, Zhang Hongyu closed his eyes, intending to sit cross-legged in meditation for a few minutes, allowing the vast Zhangqi of the divine sect realm to circulate through his body for 3 or 5 cycles, thus acclimating him to the power of the divine sect. Meanwhile, in the main hall of Evian Villa, the numerous doctors of the Medicine King Hall, including the 9 elders, had gathered. Zhang Ruomu and Zhang Xianwu, father and daughter, were also present. The agreed time is almost here. I'm sure the 3 forces are already on their way. Alice, the Palace Master may be powerful, but he's still young. He suddenly killed 3 peak-level Xianzong warriors. I'm afraid this won't end well tonight. Stop talking nonsense, will you? The Palace Master is making our Medicine King Hall stance clear. We're not pushovers. How can we keep giving in? Yes, even if we have to compromise tonight, we must let them know that we're not to be trifled with. We're also brave, that makes sense. So what if we killed 3 peak-level Xianzong warriors? They won't dare get angry. After all, our Medicine King Hall is very special. Tonight, our Medicine King Hall is definitely no match for the Iron Fist sect, the 3 Cave Bridge, and the Deep City Du family. Compromise is inevitable. I just hope they can send fewer resources. Let's all keep quiet. No matter what the Palace Master chooses, even if he agrees to all their demands, we must understand. After all, we really can't defeat them. Many doctors were discussing, ready to send a large amount of cultivation resources. There was no other way. We were inferior to the others, so this was the only way. Zhang Ruomu thought the same. He'd compromise tonight, but he could offer a small protest, hoping to get the other side to reduce their demands. Who said this palace master wanted to compromise? Just then, a cold voice echoed through the hall, its tone filled with dominance. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, everyone's eyes turned to the 12 o'clock direction. There, Su Yang strode in, his face composed, devoid of the panic of approaching a formidable enemy. Welcome, Palace Master. The next moment, everyone present, including Zhang Ruomu, clasped their fists in salute. Yes, Su Yang nodded, strode to the front, and then said seriously, everyone, I promise you that I will not give away a single cent of the cultivation materials of the Medicine King Hall, not only today. From now on, my Medicine King Hall will no longer give any materials to anyone, any force, even in the Fengshan land, between the mountains and the sea, in the depths of the clouds and mist, such a behemoth. If you want resources, you must buy them with things of equal value, Su Yang said solemnly. I, Su Yang, swear here that if I can't do what I said just now, I will take the initiative to resign from the position of Hall Master. Hall Master, Zhang Ruomu heard this and hurriedly whispered, that's not necessary. Don't feel guilty. The 3 forces that came today all have half-step divine sects. Don't worry, I won't take back what I said, Su Yang smiled and said confidently, if I can't even protect the resources of the Medicine King Hall, how can I have the face to be the Hall Master? This, Zhang Ruomu looked at Su Yang, his blood boiling with excitement. He exclaimed, Palace Master is mighty, Palace Master is mighty, Palace Master is mighty, Palace Master is mighty. All the doctors present were overcome with emotion, looking at Su Yang with eyes filled with awe. Haha, little Palace Master, what an arrogant tone, but at this moment, a sarcastic sneer was heard from outside. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 405 You all come together. Wow. The scene suddenly fell silent, and all the doctors turned around to look outside the hall. Su Yang also looked over, without a trace of surprise on his face. With his current strength, he would have discovered these people before they entered Evian Villa. At this moment, Du Mingyun and Gu Hongyu, leading dozens of masters, appeared outside the hall. Next, they walked into the hall without stopping. The doctors around were frightened by the momentum of these people and moved away to make way. Just like that, Du Mingyun, Gu Hongyu and others stood in the center of the hall. The subordinates of the 2 forces were at least at the Earth Sect realm, and their power was naturally extraordinary, which frightened many doctors into silence. The person who sneered before was Du Mingyun. At this moment, Du Mingyun stared at Su Yang with a strong murderous intent flashing in his eyes, and said in a cold voice, Su Yang, you are a young junior, and you are talking nonsense. Aren't you afraid that the wind will blow your tongue away, Master Du? Seeing this, Zhang Ruomu stood up to defend Puayang, and said in a deep voice, Su Yang is our Palace Master, please pay attention to the attitude when you speak. Palace Master, Du Mingyun laughed disdainfully, a Palace Master in his early 20s? Haha, is the current Medicine King Palace so unbearable? How dare you? Zhang Ruomu was furious and his face turned pale with anger. Zhang Ruomu, step back, Su Yang smiled, and then his eyes fell on Du Mingyun, and he smiled lightly. Are you the head of the Du family in Shenzhen? Yes, Du Mingyun said coldly. Su Yang, putting aside the matter of the Medicine King Palace today, the grudge between you and me should be resolved. Su Yang asked doubtfully, what grudge do I have with you? Humph, stop pretending, Du Mingyun said angrily. Some time ago, it was you who used the identity of Su Xuantian to kill my sister Du Hongjin in the Su family manor. Today, I must avenge her, Du Hongjin. Su Yang paused, then suddenly realized, so you are Du Hongjin's brother? Yes. Du Mingyan gritted his teeth and said, you killed my sister and my nephew. This hatred is irreconcilable. Your nephew is Shi Zhuan, right? Su Yang sneered. One is a slut who does not abide by her husband's chastity, and the other is a bastard of unknown origin. Just kill them. Why should the head of the Du family be angry? Su Yang, you? Upon hearing Su Yang humiliate Du Hongjin and Shi Zhuan, Du Mingyan instantly erupted in anger. Master Du, business is more important. Let's talk about your feud with Su Yang a little more. At this moment, Gu Hongyu spoke up. Yes, Du Mingyan nodded, suppressing his anger, and then said, Senior Gu, Zhang Changsheng hasn't arrived yet. Let's wait a moment, okay? Gu Hongyu nodded gently. Although the power of their two families could force the Medicine King Hall, this matter was originally the idea of the three parties, so it was naturally difficult to leave the Iron Fist sect behind. Haha, you want to wait for Zhang Changshen? Seeing this, Su Yang smiled lightly and said, I advise you not to wait. You won't be able to wait for him. Gu Hongyu's old eyes fell on Su Yang, frowned and said, what do you mean? Because Zhang Changsheng has been killed by me. Su Yang smiled, and said in a flat tone, he died in my hands last night. Impossible, Gu Hongyu questioned. Zhang Changsheng has set foot in the half-step divine sect for many years, and has a magic sword. It is extremely terrifying. Even I may not be able to. As Gu Hongyu was speaking, Su Yang had an idea and took out the sky sword from the stored ring. He smiled playfully and said, is the magic sword you are talking about this one? What? Gu Hongyu's face changed drastically when he saw this, and he murmured, you actually killed Zhang Changshen. The magic sword was in Su Yang's hand. Gu Hongyu naturally believed what Su Yang said, and a trace of vigilance emerged in his expression. Not only did I kill him, I also killed Prince Ping. Gu Hongyu, don't you know about this? Su Yang asked with a smile, holding the sky sword. Gu Hongyu frowned slightly, momentarily unable to grasp what Su Yang meant. But then, a disciple from the Three Caves Bridge approached anxiously and whispered something. What? Su Xing is dead. Prince Ping's mansion has been destroyed. Upon learning the truth, Gu Hongyu was instantly enraged. She growled, Prince Ping's mansion was my plan for decades, and it's gone just like that. Su Yang, finally, Gu Hongyu glared at Su Yang, gritting her teeth and saying, you deserve to die, you deserve to die. I'll cut your flesh piece by piece and feed it to the dogs. With those words, Gu Hongyu, enraged, leaped at Su Yang, ready to kill him. Senior Gu, calm down. Du Mingyan, having calmed down, intervened. Upon hearing this, Gu Hongyu stopped and stood aside, staring intently at Su Yang. Zhang Ruomu, Du Mingyan's gaze fell on Zhang Ruomu, and he asked coldly, the day before yesterday, we came to Ravine Villa and expressed our intentions. We also gave you, Medicine King Hall, 2 days to consider. I already understand what the new Hall Master, Su Yang, meant. He seems to have rejected our request, Du Mingyan said gravely. Now I want to know, can Su Yang represent the entire Medicine King Hall? Zhang Ruomu glanced at Su Yang. Seeing him nod confidently, he met Du Mingyan's gaze and said sternly, Su Yang is now our Hall Master, so he naturally represents the Medicine King Hall. So, you're unwilling to compromise with us and are going to break off relations with us, Du Mingyan said grimly. Yes, Zhang Ruomu said calmly. Zhang Ruomu, you'd better think carefully before your answer. Du Mingyan exuded a terrifying aura and said coldly, because this may very well be a matter of life and death for the Medicine King Hall. Master Du, stop wasting time with him. The key issue now is Su Yang. Kill him and set an example. I don't believe the Medicine King Hall will remain so upright, Gu Hongyu said solemnly. Okay, Senior Gu, you have a point. Du Mingyan pondered for a few seconds before agreeing with Gu Hongyu's suggestion. He spread his palm, and a cloud of black mist danced within it. Seeing this, Gu Hongyu knew that Du Mingyan was about to invite the ancestor to possess him. However, Su Yang had destroyed years of her hard work, and she wanted to kill him herself. So she said, Master Du, can you please give Su Yang to me? I'll owe you a favor. Haha, sure, Du Mingyan sneered, but let me deal with Su Yang's body. I'll make him into a mummified corpse, and he'll forever kneel before the cenotaphs of my sister and nephew to atone for his sins. Okay, I promise. Gu Hongyu nodded in agreement, her face gloomy as she stared at Su Yang. Murderous intent thick in her eyes. Buzz! Then, a terrifying aura erupted from her, the power of the divine sect. Everyone said you were close to reaching the divine sect, but I didn't expect you'd already reached it. It's truly surprising, but, even with such strength, you're still no match for me. Master Du, come on, all of you, Su Yang sneered repeatedly. Wielding the azure sky sword, his strength greatly increased, and he felt confident he could fight a divine sect battle. Even 2 divine sect members wouldn't be a problem. Chapter 406 Your opponent is me. Currently, with Su Yang's strength, he could fight a half-step divine master on equal terms. If he employed certain tactics, such as the heavenly hidden stone and the near and far away, he could unexpectedly defeat a half-step divine master. However, that was before. Now, Su Yang possessed the azure sky sword. Wielding it, he was like a golden sword god, his strength multiplied manyfold. Although he had never fought against a divine master, Su Yang was confident he could take on a divine master. Therefore, facing Gu Hongyu, who was at the divine and brave realm, Su Yang showed no sign of panic. As for Du Mingyan, who was standing beside him, though he appeared to be only at the heavenly realm, for some reason, Su Yang felt he was unpredictable and emanated a dangerous aura, perhaps harboring hidden abilities. Regardless, with the azure sky sword in hand, Su Yang feared nothing. Even if Du Mingyan were at the divine realm, he was confident he could hold his own. The azure sky sword, after all, was a top-grade spiritual weapon. Currently, Su Yang could only exert 1/10 of its power. If he could unleash its full might, a mere divine master would be annihilated in an instant. HMPH, such an arrogant tone. Gu Hongyu saw the disdain in Su Yang's eyes and was instantly furious, ready to attack. Senior Gu, go outside. Don't accidentally hurt your own people or the doctors of the Medicine King Hall. At this moment, Du Mingyan reminded him, after all, the doctors of the Medicine King Hall are of great importance and cannot be killed. Yes, Gu Hongyu naturally understood the seriousness of the situation. She stared at Su Yang and said coldly, "Boy, do you dare to challenge me outside for a showdown? Haha, why not?" Su Yang chuckled softly, "But, Gu Hongyu, no matter where we fight, you will die. Outside, for you, it's just a new grave site. You're so sharp-tongued, in a moment, I'll knock out all your teeth, one by one, and cut your tongue into 9 pieces." Gu Hongyu's face was as gloomy as water. Then she turned and walked out of the hall, entering the courtyard of Evian Villa. Su Yang was about to follow when Zhang Ruomu, his face filled with worry, said, "Palace Master, this person isn't even a half-step divine master, but a divine master. Why not just give up and agree to their demands?" "Yes, Palace Master, you are the future of our Medicine King Palace. There will be many opportunities in the future. Let's not fight them for now," Zhao Qian echoed. Zhang Xiao, standing nearby, added, "Palace Master, although you have some grudges against them, if we agree to their demands, coupled with the entire palace's support and our pledge to live and die with you, they will surely let you go." "Why not?" "All right," Su Yang interrupted, confidently saying, "Trust me, she can't do anything to me." With that, Su Yang strode out of the hall with a smile on his face. Zhang Ruomu and the others exchanged glances before following closely behind. Du Mingyan, along with his men from both sides, also followed. Everyone watched the battle from a distance. At that moment, Su Yang and Gu Hongyu stood facing each other, only 4 or 5 meters apart, each emanating a terrifying aura. "Su Yang, you can kill Zhang Changshen, but it seems your strength is at least half a step to the Divine Master stage, at such a young age, yet you've already achieved such accomplishments. You'll definitely be a major threat in the future." Gu Hongyu sneered, "But Alice, today, I will personally strangle that prodigy." Haha, without a second thought, Gu Hongyu attacked, her palms brimming with Zhenki. "HMPH, you don't have the strength to kill me." Su Yang, wielding the azure sky sword and unleashing the power of the near-crossing world, leaped forward to meet the attack. Instantly, Zhenki surged, sword energy crisscrossed, and the aftermath of the battle rippled outward. Bang! 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 In just a few breaths, the two had already exchanged more than a dozen rounds, with no clear winner. What terrifying sword energy! At this moment, Gu Hongyu, standing in the distance, stared at Su Yang with shock, her eyes filled with awe. She had previously said that even she couldn't easily defeat Zhang Changshen, wielding the azure sky sword. But that was only modesty. If Gu Hongyu hadn't concealed her true strength and unleashed her full power, she would have been able to instantly annihilate Zhang Changshen. Without joining the divine sect, one would never know its might. The gap between a divine sect member and a half-step divine sect member wasn't a fraction, it was a world of difference. Gu Hongyu had once witnessed Zhang Changsheng's divine sword and knew it was truly extraordinary. But she was certain it wouldn't unleash such formidable power in his hands. Why was Su Yang so formidable with a divine sword? Wasn't he even on the same level as Zhang Changsheng? Su Yang, Gu Hongyu demanded coldly, you've learned swordsmanship, so this sword gives you even more power, allowing you to unleash explosive damage. You asked too many questions. Dai? Su Yang didn't answer. He stood still, his entire body aglow with golden light, radiating the power of the sky sword. After their previous encounter, he already knew Gu Hongyu's combat prowess. She was formidable. If he wanted to defeat her, he would have to fight hard. Therefore, Su Yang didn't hesitate, decisively unleashing his sword energy. A golden crescent-shaped sword, emanating a resounding divine power, attacked Gu Hongyu relentlessly. HMPH, how arrogant, I can see that you're weak on your own. The only way you can contend with me is through the divine sword. This sword is immensely powerful. Activating it will inevitably consume a great deal of energy. I'd like to see how long you can hold out. Gu Hongyu's eyes glared, then she conserved her strength, dodging, not daring to take the golden sword energy head-on. Of course, while dodging, she constantly sought opportunities to approach Chu Yang, intending to kill him in close quarters. However, Su Yang always sensed this and wielded his sword energy, forcing Gu Hongyu back. Thus, the two engaged in a fierce, drawn-out fight, with no clear winner for a while. Is this the Palace Master's true strength? So powerful, he can even fight masters of the divine sect. The Palace Master constantly defies my understanding of him. No wonder the Palace Master's tone is so harsh. It turns out his strength is unfathomable. Our Medicine King Palace finally has a divine sect leader. We no longer have to rely on others. The many doctors in the Medicine King Palace were overjoyed to see Su Yang holding his own against Ancient Red Moon. However, Du Minggian's expression darkened beside him. After a moment's thought, Du Minggian made a decision. He immediately spread his palms, and a black mist emerged. Invite the ancestors to possess me. The next moment, Du Minggian gritted his teeth and slammed the black mist into his body. Instantly, his strength soared, from the late heavenly sect to the peak of the heavenly sect, half-step to the divine sect, and finally to the divine sect. Only when he reached the early stage of the divine sect did Du Minggian's aura stabilize, and he exuded a tremendous aura. Senior Gu, may I lend you a helping hand? Du Minggian, after having invited the ancestor to come, spoke. Alright, let's make a quick fight. Gu Hongyu, worried about not being able to eliminate Su Yang quickly, agreed to Du Minggian's request. Su Yang, prepare to die. With permission, Du Minggian's body surged with black energy as he leaped towards Su Yang. Du Minggian, your opponent is me. At this moment, an old voice echoed from the depths of Evian Villa. Then, a tall figure descended from the sky, landing steadily in front of Du Minggian. Divine Sect Zhang Hongyu has arrived. Chapter 407 Duanmu is here. After entering the divine sect, Zhang Hongyu spent time consolidating his realm in his room. Feeling he had mastered it, he left. Unexpectedly, he saw Du Minggian about to attack the Palace Master and intervened. Zhang Hongyu, Du Minggian took a closer look and realized it was Zhang Hongyu standing in front of him. He sneered, haha, Zhang Hongyu, you're the strongest in the Medicine King Palace. They say you're the foundation of the palace, but, ultimately, you're only a half-step divine sect master. Now that I've invited my ancestors to possess me, I've reached the early stages of the divine sect. You're no match for me. The black mist surrounding Du Minggian danced arrogantly, then he threatened, this patriarch, considering you a Kyoto miracle doctor with exceptional medical skills, will spare your life. Get out of the way, haha, Du Minggian, do you think I'm still the same person I was before? Zhang Hongyu's eyes were cold, and then several silver needles appeared in his hand. He suddenly charged at Du Minggian. Shenzong, you've set foot in the Shenzong, haha, after faking your death for decades, I understand why you've now set foot in the Shenzong, but, Du Minggian said coldly, you've just set foot in the Shenzong, so you're no match for this patriarch. Since you're seeking death, this patriarch will grant your wish and kill you and Su Yang together. As soon as he finished speaking, a murderous intent flashed in Du Minggian's eyes. His body enveloped in a black mist, and he charged towards Zhang Hongyu with a mighty force. Boom! In an instant, the two men exchanged palm strikes, each retreating several steps before resuming the fight. Bang! 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 The two continued to exchange blows, back and forth, with no clear winner emerging. But Du Mingyun was right. Zhang Zhongyu had just ascended to the Shenzong level, and his strength was inferior to his, so he was at a disadvantage. At this rate, Zhang Zhongyu would be defeated within 300 rounds. Senior Zhang has been promoted, haha. At the critical moment, Senior Zhang set foot in the Divine Sect. God help my Medicine King Palace. Now we have two masters in the Divine Sect realm in Medicine King Palace. Who dares to bully us? 3 Cave Bridge and Shen Chengdu family, these two first-rate forces, are incredible. They actually have masters of the Divine Sect. They can easily enter Mingshan and become sects within the system. The several first-rate forces that forced the Medicine King Palace by force some time ago were backed by the Zeman family of Kunlun Mountain. The 3 Cave Bridge and Shen Chengdu family dare to threaten our Medicine King Palace openly, so they naturally have the means. I wonder if the Palace Master and Senior Zhang can repel them. If they can succeed, from now on, no forces outside Mingshan will dare to attack our Medicine King Palace. The many Medicine King Palace doctors at the scene were ecstatic when they learned that Zhang Zhongyu had set foot in the Divine Sect. Father, when the old ancestor was seriously injured, didn't he say that his lifespan was exhausted and he was doomed to die? Even if the Palace Master came in person and healed his wounds, he would not live long, so he didn't contact the Palace Master in a hurry. Zhang Xiaoyu next to him said with a puzzled look on his face, but why did the old ancestor suddenly advance to the Divine Sect? This may be related to the Palace Master. Zhang Ruomu knew that Su Yang could help people improve their strength. He had a vague guess in his heart and smiled lightly. The old ancestor got a blessing in disguise. By stepping into the Divine Sect, he can live dozens more years. Xiaoyu, the Palace Master's methods are unpredictable. You should get closer to him in the future, Zhang Ruomu reminded with a smile. Father, Zhang Xiaoyu blushed when she heard this and said, what are you talking about? I'm so old, why should I be close to him? Zhang Ruomu paused, smiled bitterly and said, you misunderstood me. The closeness I'm talking about is not the kind of closeness between men and women, but I want you to get closer to the Palace Master as a subordinate. What are you thinking about? Zhang Xiaoyu's beautiful face flushed instantly when she heard this, and she wished she could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. Haha, Xiaoyu, if you really have that idea, it's not a bad thing. Zhang Ruomu stroked his beard and chuckled softly. For so many years, you have been obsessed with martial arts and have never paid attention to your own feelings. You have been in seclusion for 3 to 5 years, so that until now, you have not come into contact with a man. To use the more popular words nowadays, you have been solo for hundreds of years. That won't do. After all, people must experience love between men and women and experience all the 7 emotions and 6 desires before their life can be considered perfect, Zhang Ruomu counseled. Perhaps after experiencing things between men and women, you will have a sudden realization and may even be able to reach the threshold of the Divine Sect. It won't work to work in isolation. Father, don't talk nonsense. Zhang Xiaoyu lowered his head shyly and whispered, I'm so old, the Palace Master won't be interested in me, my old girl. Don't underestimate yourself. Your facial features are like your mother's. You are still very capable. Plus, you have taken so many medicinal herbs and have the secret to maintaining your youth. Now you look only 18 years old. Zhang Ruomu smiled. She's at such a tender age, with a face full of collagen. How could the Palace Master not like her? Father, nonsense. If you keep doing this, I'll ignore you. Zhang Xiaoyu shyly turned her head away, no longer looking at Zhang Ruomu. Her gaze drifted, intentionally or unintentionally, to Su Yang. At that moment, Su Yang, wielding the azure sword, a golden aura emanating from him, continuously channeled half-moon sword energy, striking Gu Hongyu like a deity, his posture immeasurably handsome, P.S. really handsome, referencing the character Guangxin from Honor of Kings. Zhang Xiaoyu was instantly captivated, her beautiful eyes filled with fascination. Hua Shimiao, not far away, overheard the conversation between Zhang Ruomu and Zhang Xiaoyu, and a strong sense of urgency suddenly rose within him. I didn't expect the old Palace Master and I to have the same idea. A rival for King Day has appeared, Hua Shimiao muttered softly. No, next time I see King Day, I'll have to persuade her again. A young talent as outstanding as Master must not be missed. Hua Shimiao, now the Palace Master's apprentice and master of the 9-turn rejuvenation needle, held a prominent position within the Medicine King Palace, on par with Zhang Ruomu, and commanded widespread respect. Hu Shimao knew his status was entirely due to Su Yang, and naturally wanted to cling to him. Unnoticed, more than 10 minutes had passed. The battle in the courtyard continued. Su Yang was relatively safe. Activating the Sky Sword didn't consume much energy, and he easily suppressed Gu Hongyu. But Gu Hongyu was also conserving her strength, so he refrained from rashly launching a sneak attack using the Heavenly Hidden Stone, lest he lose the battle and end up losing more than he gained. For now, the best strategy was to maintain a stalemate for a while. When Gu Hongyu lost her patience and launched a full-scale attack, that would be when Su Yang could activate the Heavenly Hidden Stone. Su Yang's side was faring better, but Zhang Zhonggai was beginning to struggle. After all, Du Mingyun, after invoking his ancestor, had reached the early stages of the divine sect and had already adapted to its power. Zhang Zhonggai, on the other hand, had only just arrived tonight, leaving a gap between them. This was fine for a short period, but the longer the fight dragged on, the greater the disadvantage. Zhang Zhonggai was already sweating profusely, his vital energy depleted by a significant amount, but Du Mingyun remained undefeated. Zhang Zhonggai, you're almost collapsing. Die! Du Mingyun's eyes flashed, a black mist swirling around him as he charged towards Zhang Zhonggai. Not good, Zhang Zhonggai gasped, his pupils constricting. He immediately attempted to dodge, but it was too late. Su Yang, observing this from a distance, was about to intervene to avert Zhang Zhonggai's danger. But just then, a familiar presence approached, finally stopping to watch from afar. This person was none other than Duan Muhai, the one Su Yang had tricked into coming here earlier. Chapter 408, Fooling Duan Muhai. Duan Muhai arrived. But he didn't attack. Instead, he glanced around, as if looking for someone. Why isn't Grandpa Su here? Duan Muhai frowned. Not long ago. After arriving in Jiangbei, he didn't hesitate at all and directly followed a navigation to Evian Villa. As soon as he arrived at Evian Villa, he found that there were people fighting there, and they were all quite powerful. However, although those people were quite strong, Duan Muhai was not afraid. He stopped at a distance and looked for Grandpa Su, but was greatly disappointed. Swish, swish, swish. As Duan Muhai appeared, everyone's eyes fell on him. Even the four people who were fighting stopped. Gu Hongyu and Du Mingyun stood together, staring warily at Duan Muhai who had suddenly visited. As for Su Yang, he had already wielded the Sky Sword, forced Du Mingyun back, and saved Zhang Zhonggai. Now he stood there expressionless. This Duan Muhai is actually a divine sect expert. Previously, in the palace of Country D, Su Yang hadn't even reached the 9th level of key training. He'd only heard Duan Mu Liu say his grandson, Duan Muhai, was a half-step divine sect master, but he hadn't fully grasped Duan Muhai's realm. However, now that Su Yang had reached the 9th level of key training, he could tell at a glance that Duan Muhai was an ancient warrior at the early stage of the divine sect. Thankfully, I didn't choose to fight him back in Country D, but instead tricked him. Otherwise, I might not have been able to defeat him. After all, Shufan hadn't even successfully established her foundation at that time. A wave of fear washed over Su Yang, and he thought to himself, originally, I tricked him into coming here today, intending to kill him along with Gu Hongyu and the others, but now it seems I can't kill him. Gu Hongyu alone is enough of a headache, and then add Du Mingyun, who's at the divine sect level. Wait, I have it. Suddenly, an idea flashed through Su Yang's mind, and a playful smile played on his lips. He had an idea. Looks like Grandpa Su isn't here. Forget it. I'll go destroy the Su family first. Everyone, keep fighting. Just pretend I've never been here. Duan Muhai shook his head, leaving a few words before turning to leave Evian Villa. Seeing this, Gu Hongyu and Du Mingyun breathed a sigh of relief. They were clearly worried that Duan Muhai was working with the Medicine King Hall. The Medicine King Hall's strength had already exceeded their expectations. First, there was Su Yang, wielding a divine sword and possessing the combat power of a divine sect master. Then, there appeared Zhang Zhonggai, a recent arrival in the divine sect. These two individuals were already formidable enough. Gu Hongyu and Du Mingyun fought for over 10 minutes without success. If this suddenly appearing divine sect master was from the Medicine King Hall, tonight's plan would likely be in vain. Fortunately, however, this person had no connection to the Medicine King Hall and had already decided to leave. Kuhongayu and Du Mingyan exchanged a smile, their hearts instantly at ease. But then, their smiles abruptly faltered. Duan Muhai suddenly stopped. Grandpa Su. Duan Muhai stood there, his face filled with confusion, as he looked around. Just now, he had suddenly heard Grandpa Su's voice, but Grandpa Su was nowhere to be seen. Did I hear it wrong? Duan Muhai's face was filled with suspicion. No, at this moment, Su Yang, not far away, smiled and telepathically said, "You heard it right, Zio Hai. Grandpa Su is unable to show himself, so you can't see me. Now my voice is transmitted directly to your head, and only you can hear it. Grandpa Su, it's really you." Duan Muhai was overjoyed, and then asked in confusion, "Grandpa Su, where are you now?" "Thousands of miles away," Su Yang said casually. "What?" Duan Muhai admired. "You can make your voice resonate in my head from a distance. Grandpa Su, your method is amazing. What level of realm does it require to achieve this?" "Haha, Grandpa Su, I am almost as powerful as your grandfather, Duan Muliu," Su Yang said secretly. "No wonder you have also reached the peak of the divine sect. No wonder you and my grandfather are close friends." Duan Muhai did not doubt Su Yang at all, but asked curiously, "Grandpa Su, you just said that you are not convenient to show up. What do you mean?" "Hey, family disgrace should not be made public, but Zio hey, you are not an outsider. It doesn't matter if I tell you." Su Yang continued to transmit the voice. "Did you see the 4 divine sect masters fighting? They are all my disciples. Grandpa Su is amazing. He has trained 4 divine sect masters by himself," Duan Muhai said admiringly. "What's the point? They all have their own agenda. Some time ago, I sensed my lifespan was drawing to a close, so I told them I was going on a long journey and would never return. I'd find a picturesque place and quietly depart this world, but who knew they'd actually think I'd left the stored ring to my descendants, and so they came to snatch it." Su Yang sighed in a voice transmission. "Evian Villa is the domain of my descendants. Alice, they're too weak to resist." Upon hearing this, Duan Muhai looked around at Zhang Ruomu and the others, realizing that their strongest was the Xianzong, who was indeed vulnerable. "Grandpa Su, why don't you personally intervene and resolve the crisis facing your descendants?" Duan Muhai asked. "No, Grandpa Su, my strength has seriously declined due to the drying up of my ki and blood. In order to keep the storage ring, I had to hide thousands of miles away." "I see." Duan Muhai nodded as if he understood, then smiled bitterly and said, "Grandpa Su, you asked me to come, probably because you want me to help your descendants." "Yes, Zio Hai is really smart and he understands it at once." "Grandpa Su, if it was just one divine sect, I could deal with it, but there are 4 of them, and I can't be 1 against 4, Zio Hai. The 4 of them have already had a dispute and split into 2 factions. You can choose to help one of them and kill 2 people first. As for the remaining 2, I, Grandpa Su, can deal with it," Su Yang suggested, and then tempted, "Zio Hai, I have seen that my 4 apprentices are unreliable, so I propose to give you the stored ring before. First, it's because of your grandfather's relationship, and secondly, I think you are a reliable and good child. Grandpa Su doesn't have much time left. After this matter is done, Grandpa Su's stored ring will be yours." "This, good." Duan Muhai thought of the stored ring and agreed immediately, then asked, "Grandpa Su, which side do you want me to help? Did you see that old woman and the man surrounded by black energy? They are in the same group," Su Yang said in a voice transmission, "especially the villain with black energy. He has killed several of my descendants. Kill him for Grandpa Su first." "No problem, Grandpa Su, leave it to me, just watch." Duan Muhai nodded, then his eyes fell on Du Mingyan, and a strong murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Chapter 409 Cutting Off the Right Arm. In the courtyard, Du Mingyan sensed the murderous intent emanating from Duan Muhai, and his face suddenly changed slightly. "What's going on? Weren't you about to leave just now? Why did you stop again? And, it looks like you want to kill me?" Du Mingyan couldn't help swallowing his saliva, and turned to clasp his fists and said, "Sir, may I ask your name and why are you here?" Duan Muhai said coldly, "Originally, I was just looking for someone, but now, I have a new purpose, and that is to kill you, the ungrateful person who betrayed my master." "Betray the master?" Du Mingyan, bewildered, gritted his teeth and asked, "Sir, is there some misunderstanding here?" You're still trying to make excuses, even after all this. You treacherous villain. You even killed our master's descendants. Your methods are brutal and you deserve death. Duan Muhai first angrily scolded Du Mingyan, then looked at Zhang Zhonggai beside him and said calmly, "Friend, I'll join forces with you to kill him together, okay?" Su Yang had already sent a message to Zhang Zhonggai, urging him to cooperate with Duan Muhai, and Zhang Zhonggai naturally agreed. Then, Zhang Zhonggai, holding a silver needle and radiating key, charged directly at Du Mingyan. Duan Muhai didn't hesitate, unleashing a massive ki surge throughout his body and joining the fray. Bang! 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 For a moment, the three of them engaged in a tug-of-war, a scene of raging ki. With Duan Muhai's strength, he alone could have held his own against Du Mingyan. With Zhang Zhonggai watching for opportunities, the two of them completely dominated Du Mingyan. Du Mingyan had previously held his own against Zhang Zhonggai, but now he was powerless and retreating step by step. Misunderstanding, sir. There must be a misunderstanding here. When have I ever betrayed my master? Damn it. You really think this master is afraid of you? Since you won't listen to my explanation, don't blame me for being rude. Invite an ancestor to possess me. Du Mingyan, driven to desperation, released another cloud of black mist, piercing his body. This was the second ancestor. The Du family's martial arts were truly remarkable. As long as the body could withstand it, it could simultaneously invite three ancestors to possess it, strengthening itself. However, Du Mingyan's talent was truly mediocre. Inviting two ancestors was already his limit, he couldn't invite a third without risking his body exploding. Moreover, the first ancestor had given him the power of an early divine sect. His strength wouldn't surge after the second ancestor possessed him, he wouldn't even reach the mid-divine sect stage, he would simply be slightly more powerful than before. Because the second ancestor Du Mingyan summoned was far less powerful than the first. He couldn't summon two ancestors of the first strength in a row. Ultimately, his body couldn't handle it. With the two ancestors, Du Mingyan's strength improved, barely holding off the combined might of Duan Muhai and Zhang Zhonggai, but not for long. Elsewhere, the battle between Su Yang and Gu Honggai continued, both concealing their strength and keeping the fight quiet. Su Yang, standing still as before, swung a sky sword, his crescent-shaped sword energy striking Gu Honggai with seemingly endless sword energy. Su Yang, you're not cultivating true ki. You're not an ancient warrior. Suddenly, Gu Honggai seemed to improve. While dodging the golden sword energy, she speculated, this power is incredibly powerful, far surpassing true ki. Are you a ki practitioner? Su Yang didn't answer, simply wielding a sky sword. HMPH, whether it's spiritual energy or true energy, it all runs out eventually. I don't believe you can keep going, Gu Honggai snorted coldly. Sensing Su Yang's strangeness, she became even more cautious. Thus, both battlefields reached a stalemate, the five men locked in a fierce battle. After more than 10 minutes, Du Mingyan was nearly exhausted and was sent flying by a palm strike from Duan Muhai. Seeing this, Zhang Zhonggai seized the opportunity and pressed his silver needles into Du Mingyan's body. Puff! Puff! Du Mingyan had no way to avoid the needles, piercing two vital acupoints in his body, causing him to writhe in agony. Ah! Du Mingyan cried out in agony as he landed, hastily using his true energy to force the needles out. Blood gushed out the instant the needles flew out, and Du Mingyan scrambled to stop the bleeding. Then, the black mist surrounding him dimmed considerably, and the ancestors he had summoned later had been dispersed. If the fight continued, the black mist enveloping Du Mingyan would completely dissipate, and he would then return to the late stage of the heavenly sect, powerless to fight back. Senior Gu, Du Mingyan frantically declared, please quickly eliminate Su Yang and come help me. I'm no match for these two. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Zhonggai and Duan Muhai charged forward. Du Mingyan gritted his teeth and faced them head-on. Haha, another divine sect member has arrived. Heaven will not destroy our Medicine King Palace. Who is this person? Why have I never seen him before? I'm not sure. Perhaps he's received a favor from the Medicine King Palace and is here to repay it. That's possible. Regardless, that Du family leader is about to be defeated. Gu Honggai of Sandong Bridge won't be able to hold out for much longer. The numerous healers of the Medicine King Palace breathed a sigh of relief, smiles on their faces. Meanwhile, Gu Honggai, who is entangled with Su Yang, heard Du Mingyan's plea for help, pondered for a moment, and finally nodded. The lips and teeth are cold. Du Mingyan was now her ally. If Du Mingyan died or fled, Su Yang, Zhang Zhonggai, and the suddenly appearing divine sect expert would surely unite against Gu Hongyu. Gu Hongyu could understand this logic. Su Yang, I've had enough fun. Now, it's my turn to strike. At that moment, Gu Hongyu's eyes shone, and her true energy surged through her body, emitting overwhelming might. Then, without a moment's hesitation, she mobilized all her strength and attacked Su Yang without reservation, intending to kill him with a single blow to avoid further complications. Haha, finally, seeing this, Su Yang narrowed his eyes, a sneer playing on his lips. He immediately activated the heavenly hidden stone and simultaneously cast the power of a world away. In an instant, Su Yang's figure vanished, vanishing without a trace, even his presence fading. Gu Hongyu frowned at the sight, hurriedly stopping and dispersing the immense key within her palm. She wondered, what's going on? Did he escape? No, this killing intent is so close. Suddenly, Gu Hongyu sensed a powerful killing intent approaching, and she wanted to react immediately. However, she had just forcefully dispersed the terrifying power within her palm, and the key within her body was in a brief vacuum, slowing its gathering. Before she could even gather it, Su Yang's sword struck, severing her right arm in an instant. Chapter 410 Soul Binding. With a dull thud, Gu Hongyu's right arm fell to the ground, a gruesome mess of blood. Originally, Su Yang had intended to sever Gu Hongyu's head with a strike, but Gu Hongyu, after all, was a divine sect master, and instinctively shifted her stance. Severing an arm was a good feat, though. After a successful strike, Su Yang vanished again. He appeared and disappeared silently, like a puff of air. Everyone present was stunned, their faces filled with horror. Palace Master, what kind of method is this? It's so bizarre. It's normal that we didn't notice, but that Gu Hongyu, a divine sect master, didn't even notice. Haha, Palace Master will win. With such a method, he can completely defeat Gu Hongyu. After a brief moment of shock, the doctors present were filled with joy. Just as they had predicted, Su Yang first easily severed one of Gu Hongyu's arms, and then, upon reappearing, had severed the tendons in Gu Hongyu's left foot. Gu Hongyu was in agony, unable to find any trace of Su Yang. Her eyes, red with rage, raged with shame and shame. Su Yang, you despicable villain who only knows how to sneak attacks, get out here, as you wish. As Gu Hongyu finished her words, Su Yang reappeared, slashing the tendons of her other foot with his sword. Hiss! Gu Hongyu gasped in pain and fell to her knees, her face twisted in agony. Then, Su Yang, holding the sky sword, stood before Gu Hongyu. From a distance, it looked as if she were kneeling in worship. Su Yang, what kind of acrobatic skill is this? You can actually hide between heaven and earth, Gu Hongyu demanded, gritting her teeth in disbelief. Go down and ask the king of hell. Su Yang didn't answer. Instead, he raised the sky sword high and slashed Gu Hongyu's throat. With a crisp sound, bright red blood gushed out, staining the blue stone ground red. Gu Hongyu's strength instantly drained away, her aged face slumped to the ground. Within seconds, she was dead. Her eyes, wide with resentment, glared openly, her eyes wide open until her death. Cave Master, the dozens of masters at Sandong Bridge erupted in agitation upon seeing Gu Hongyu's demise. You, go down and accompany her. Su Yang's eyes glared, and he immediately wielded the sky sword, unleashing a continuous stream of crescent-shaped sword energy. Puff, puff, puff. Of the dozens of masters present at Sandong Bridge, the strongest was only in the middle stage of the heavenly sect, the weakest in the early stage of the earth sect. Facing Su Yang, empowered by the sky sword, they were powerless to fight back. In just half a minute, they were all dead, leaving not a single one alive. This is terrifying. Just a flick of sword energy, and so many were killed in such a short time. Senior Gu's forces have been completely annihilated. The head of the family will definitely not be able to withstand the Medicine King Palace. Let's escape. The surrounding Du family masters, seeing this scene, were terrified and fled in all directions. How can we escape? Su Yang sneered, his face as gloomy as water. At this point, he would definitely not let anyone escape. When they came to Ravine Villa, they should be prepared to be killed. Crescent-shaped sword energy surged out continuously, one after another. In another half-minute, all the Du family masters were dead. No, Du Mingyan, who was fighting Duan Muhai and Zhang Zhongyu, noticed the situation here and his eyes were bloodshot. Su Yang, I will make you die. The one who deserves to die is you. Su Yang raised his lips with a sneer, holding the sky sword, and joined a three-person battle. Doomingyan was already at a disadvantage, but with Su Yang's participation, the situation became completely one-sided. Puff! Su Yang's sword slashed Doomingyan's chest, sending him flying backwards, blood splattering the air. 2 seconds later, Doomingyan's body slammed to the ground, spitting blood and breathing weakly. Simultaneously, the black mist surrounding him detached from his body and gradually dissipated. I've long noticed your martial arts are strange. I didn't expect you could merge souls. This soul must have been at least a mid-level divine sect master in life. And thanks to its martial arts, its spirit has become condensed. Truly remarkable. Now defeated, it wishes to return to your body. Haha, am I agreeing? Su Yang's gaze fixed on the black mist, his lips curling slightly. Then, he suddenly raised his hand and uttered 2 words, soul binding. Originally, the black mist should have dissipated, returning to Doomingyan's body in another form, awaiting his next summons. But as Su Yang raised his hand, the black mist solidified and flew into his hand. At this moment, Su Yang grasped the black mist with one hand. It thrashed and thrashed in his grasp, unable to break free. Don't waste your energy. My soul-binding technique can bind the spirits of immortals. You're just a mere ancient warrior. You can't escape my grasp. Su Yang coldly threatened the black mist. I advise you to be quiet. If you stir even a little, I'll shatter your soul. As soon as he spoke, the black mist, as if understanding, remained motionless. Su Yang, Doomingyan, lying on the ground, gritted his teeth and cried, "What did you do to my grandfather?" "He's your grandfather." Su Yang looked at the black mist, then at Doomingyan. "That's right," Doomingyan threatened coldly. "Su Yang, I admit you're powerful. Even Gu Hongyu died at your hands, but our Shenchangdu family has a deep foundation, and we still have late-stage divine sect masters. You'd better release my grandfather and let me go, and this matter will be over. Otherwise, my entire Du family will kill you, and will fight to the death." Doomingyan's eyes were filled with murderous intent. "Is that so?" Su Yang met Doomingyan's gaze, narrowing his eyes slightly and saying coldly, "I fear nothing from threats, and I hate being threatened the most." As he spoke, Su Yang exerted force with his fingers, and in an instant, the black mist shattered into pieces. With a muffled sound, the black mist vanished, its soul shattered, and it completely returned to the world. "Grandpa," Doomingyan's face darkened upon seeing this, and he growled, "Su Yang, you will die a horrible death. Haha, you want to kill me, so I will show no mercy." Su Yang approached Doomingyan, sized him up, and said coldly, "There's still a soul within you. Come out. I'll capture it." With that, Su Yang faced Doomingyan and slowly opened his palm, aiming it at him. Immediately, Doomingyan felt a powerful suction force forcibly drawing his soul out. Whoosh! This soul, the second one Doomingyan had just invited into his body, now lay obediently in Su Yang's grasp, not daring to act rashly. Chapter 411, Vomiting Blood. "You're quite honest." Su Yang glanced at the spirit and, using his spiritual sense, forcibly searched its memories, hoping to learn about the Du family's martial arts. A disdainful smile played on his face. "Haha, it's just some trickery, a little soul-inviting possession. It can only involve souls of the same lineage, so it's nothing to be afraid of. It just happened to be restrained by my soul-binding technique." Su Yang chuckled softly. Previously, Gu Hongyu was watching closely, so he hadn't distracted himself from observing Doomingyan closely. After annihilating Gu Hongyu, Su Yang freed his hand to observe him. Seeing that the other party's strength was due to his soul possessing him, his mind immediately recalled the soul-binding technique. In the Xuantian immortal realm, there was a sect similar to this soul-inviting technique, and it was truly powerful. The Yuhan sect. The Yuhan sect could summon the souls of any powerful being in the world, even those who had been dead for countless years. Using secret techniques, they could recondense the souls of those who had died and use them. Thus, disciples of the soul control sect roamed the mountains and wilderness year-round, searching for the graves of the most powerful, specializing in enslaving other people's ancestors. This, over time, infuriated the Blue Phoenix Empress. The Empress, possessing extraordinary talent, created a secret technique, soul binding, specifically designed to counter the soul control sect. The power of the soul control sect's masters lies in the spirits they possess. Their own strength is modest. The soul binding technique, however, is specifically designed to combat spirits. With a single move, a powerful spirit within a soul control sect member can be extracted, shattered, and returned to the world. Back then, while Su Yang never caught up to the Blue Phoenix Empress, he achieved similar accomplishments. They discussed and exchanged techniques, and the Empress passed the soul-binding technique to Su Yang. Upon receiving the soul-binding technique, Su Yang hadn't delved into it, dismissing it as useless. Until today, however, it came in handy. If he ever encountered someone from the Du family in the future, no matter how powerful they were after invoking their ancestors, Su Yang would be fearless. He would simply raise his hand and use the soul-binding technique to instantly reveal their true form. After exploring the memory of the soul in his hand, Su Yang did not hesitate. He exerted force with his fingers, and the soul was instantly shattered. Su Yang, Doomingiggle stared at Su Yang, gritting his teeth in fury. HMPH, you're courting death, now, the fact that your Xuantian won't be concealed for much longer. The Du family will soon learn your identity, and the story of Yan Villa will spread throughout the ancient martial arts world. Expect the Du family's wrath. Not only the Du family, but all the major sects in the ancient martial arts world will not let you go. They will never allow the Medicine King Hall to have a supreme martial arts prodigy. That would hinder their ability to exploit the Medicine King Hall, Doomingiggle sneered. Su Yang, you won't live much longer, shut up. Su Yang's eyes glared, and with a single strike of his sword, Doomingiggle's head was severed from his body. Are you Su Yang? At that moment, Duan Muhai, standing nearby, stared at Su Yang warily, a murderous glint in his eyes. He had come to Jiangbei to eliminate Su Yang and destroy the Su family, but he hadn't expected Su Yang to be right before his eyes. That's right, Su Yang heard this, his eyes falling on Duan Muhai, a playful smile on his face. Now that Gu Hongyu and Du Mingyan were dead, he could focus on dealing with Duan Muhai, and naturally he wasn't afraid. Su Yang, receiving a definitive answer, Duan Muhai said coldly, in the Battle of Southern Xinjiang a few days ago, you led the Su family's secret guards to destroy hundreds of thousands of my D country's troops. Today, I will cut you into pieces, okay, then come here. Su Yang, holding the sky sword, stood still. Nearby, Zhang Zhongyu also expressed strong hostility towards Duan Muhai. Duan Muhai naturally noticed it, looked at Su Yang, then at Zhang Zhongyu, and took a few steps back. Wait a little longer. Grandpa Su said earlier that he couldn't defeat the 4 divine sects. As long as he kills 2, he can handle the rest. Duan Muhai thought to himself, with my strength, it's easy to deal with this old guy with a silver needle, but Su Yang is stronger. He just used a strange identity that can hide between heaven and earth. It's unpredictable. Let's wait for Grandpa Su to come. What's wrong? Aren't you going to kill me? Do it. At this time, Su Yang said with a playful smile. Huh? I'm waiting for someone, Duan Muhai said coldly. Who are you waiting for, Su Yang? Don't think I don't know. You all are disciples of my grandfather Su. Duan Muhai stared at Su Yang and sneered. No wonder you're so powerful at such a young age. It's all thanks to my grandfather Su, but, Su Yang, you're such a coward. You're so ungrateful. For the sake of a storage ring, you're actually going to attack grandfather Su's descendants. You're unworthy of being his disciple, HMPH, but don't be so arrogant. My grandfather Su isn't dead yet. He'll be here soon, and you'll be dead then. Having said this, Duan Muhai glanced at Zhang Ruomu and the others standing in the distance and said politely, everyone, you're all descendants of grandfather Su, right? Don't worry. I'm here today. Su Yang can't do anything to you. Just hold on for a while, and grandfather Su will be here. As soon as these words were spoken, Zhang Ruomu, Zhang Xianwei, Zhao Keihan, Su Shanju, Hu Shimeo, and everyone else present were all confused. What does he mean? This person must be a fool. What the hell is he talking about? Haha, Su Yang knew the truth and couldn't help laughing. What are you laughing at? Duan Muhai said coldly. Well, Su Yang couldn't bear to tell Duan Muhai the truth, so he suppressed his laughter and asked, Duan Muhai, do you know my last name? Your name is Su Yang, what else can it be? Of course it's Su. Do you think I'm a fool? Duan Muhai said angrily. Then, Su Yang looked at Duan Muhai and said, look, your grandfather Su's last name is Su, and mine is Su too. Do you think it's possible that I'm your grandfather Su? Shut up. Duan Muhai was stunned upon hearing this. After a moment, he reacted and gritted his teeth, saying, Su Yang, your quick tongue is nothing. When grandfather Su comes, I'll pull out your tongue and make you die. It seems you don't believe me. Su Yang's lips curled up, and he raised his hand, transforming into Su Xuantian. In a hoarse voice, he transmitted his soul, Zio Hai, do you believe now that I'm Grandfather Su, W. What? Duan Muhai witnessed this scene and was stunned. He was struck by lightning, and he froze in his tracks, his heart pounding. Su Yang is Grandfather Su? This. Duan Muhai refused to believe it, even if he was beaten to death. But Su Yang's appearance at that moment, the soul transmission, and that loving voice. Duan Muhai believed it. Su Yang, that's Grandpa Su. No. What bullshit, Grandpa Su. He's just a kid from the younger generation, and an enemy of Country D. I actually recognized Su Yang as my grandfather. Damn it, the thought of how Su Yang had toyed with him for so long irritated Duan Muhai, his face turning pale and blue, and he finally spat out a mouthful of blood. The fact that he was spitting blood was enough to reveal Duan Muhai's current state of mind. Su Yang, Duan Muhai wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, gnashing his teeth, staring at Su Yang with uncontrollable fury, his expression an unusually complex one. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 412, Give You a Happy Ending. Kill. This Su Yang must die. Duan Muhai, blinded by rage, completely oblivious to his current situation, leaped towards Su Yang. Haha, if you had chosen to attack me the first time we met, perhaps I would have fallen to your hand. But now, you've missed the best opportunity, Su Yang sneered, then, grasping the sky sword, activated the heavenly hidden stone, and instantly vanished from the spot. The heavenly hidden stone had a limited duration of use, but since Su Yang had only used it for a moment, it could still be used now. Duan Muhai paused, his face gloomy, and he glanced around warily. He had noticed this before, knowing that Su Yang possessed some mysterious methods. He glanced around cautiously, preparing for any eventual change, waiting for Su Yang's attack, then striking back. A sharp blow. After a pause of several seconds, Su Yang, grasping the sky sword, suddenly struck out, the golden longsword piercing Duan Muhai's chest with a fierce force of intent. I've been waiting for you, Duan Muhai snorted coldly, and his palm quickly slapped towards Su Yang. His reaction was very fast. Boom. In an instant, the tip of the sky sword came into contact with Duan Muhai's palm. At the same time, golden sword energy and true energy raged throughout the scene, and the aftermath was extremely terrifying. The people watching from a distance fell to the ground, and the scene was littered with rocks and dust. After a stalemate of 4 or 5 seconds, Su Yang and Duan Muhai were both sent flying backwards. Duan Muhai flew 10 meters before he steadied his feet. He spurted out a pool of blood from his mouth, and his face turned pale. As for Su Yang, he was also slightly injured, with blood oozing from the corner of his mouth, but fortunately, the problem was not serious. Just as I suspected, with a heavenly hidden stone and the heavenly away, only a surprise attack could wipe out the divine sect. This Duan Muhai is about as powerful as Gu Hongyu. If he's fully alert, he can sense my location before I strike. However, as long as I don't reveal myself, an ancient warrior at the early stage of the divine sect won't be able to detect me. This will make things much easier for me going forward. Su Yang smiled, wiped the blood from his mouth, and said in a deep voice, Zhang Zhongyu, let's attack together and kill him. Yes, Zhang Zhongyu had been waiting for a long time. Upon hearing Su Yang's order, he immediately charged towards Duan Muhai. Su Yang, holding the sky sword, followed closely behind. Now, with the sky sword's power, Su Yang's combat power was almost on par with Duan Muhai and Gu Hongyu. With Zhang Zhongyu's help, he could naturally defeat Duan Muhai. However, at first, Su Yang didn't use his full strength. Instead, he was concentrating on practicing his swordsmanship, hoping to improve through fighting Duan Muhai. All martial arts in the world share a common origin. Fist techniques can also be sword techniques. Some time ago, Su Yang created the 100 Lifetimes Reincarnation Fist. Today, he intends to adapt his boxing technique into a sword technique, attempting to unleash the 100 Lifetimes Reincarnation Sword. This transformation is naturally difficult for ordinary people to achieve, let alone master in combat. But Su Yang, with his experience as an Immortal Emperor and the 100 Lifetimes Reincarnation Fist being his own creation, naturally mastered it. After dozens of rounds, he had mastered it. 100 lifetimes reincarnation. At this moment, Su Yang roared, slashing out with a golden longsword in his hand. In an instant, the swords will surged, forming a terrifying sword energy. Duan Muhai was about to take the blow, but his soul suddenly felt disturbed, and his gaze froze. What a terrifying sword technique. It actually affects my soul. Duan Muhai was a divine sect member after all, and he withdrew in an instant, but Alice, the terrifying sword energy had already struck and killed him. Puff. Instantly, Duan Muhai's chest was struck by the sword's energy, and he froze in place, a mouthful of blood gushing out. Su Yang, Duan Muhai half knelt on the ground. The sword had destroyed his internal organs, leaving him doomed. Since you've called me grandpa so many times, I'll let you die quickly. Su Yang looked at Duan Muhai and said calmly, remember, in your next life, be more discerning. Don't mess with just anyone. Don't be so arrogant. You lied to me before, which means you're not my grandfather's friend, and your strength is only at the early stage of the divine sect. Duan Muhai stared fiercely at Su Yang and spoke haltingly, just wait. My grandfather, he won't let you go. You're talking about Duan Muliu? Haha, I've already killed him. You'll see him down there. Su Yang smiled softly, and then, to make Duan Muhai's death more painful, he slashed his throat with his sword. Ugh, Duan Muhai's face was filled with disbelief. He had lost his life in shock, clearly unconvinced that Su Yang could kill Duan Muliu. Those bodies. Su Yang glanced at Gu Hongyu, Du Mingyun, Duan Muhai, and the dozens of bodies at the scene. Finally, with a sudden thought, he stored them all in his storage ring and handed them over to Shufan to dispose of. Not to mention the other bodies, but the bodies of the 3 divine sect members held a powerful energy. Shufan would surely appreciate them. After defeating all the invading enemies, Su Yang sheathed his sky sword and looked at Zhang Ruomu and the others with a smile. Alright, the problem is solved. Everyone, don't just stand there. You don't need to deal with the bodies. Just do what you need to do, Su Yang said with a smile. The many doctors present were all stunned, their hearts restless for a long time. Mighty Palace Master, Mighty Palace Master, Mighty Palace Master. After a long moment, someone finally reacted and respectfully praised Su Yang, followed by a thunderous roar. A few minutes later. Evian Villa, Main Hall. Su Yang sat at the highest seat, with Zhang Zhongyu, Zhang Ruomu, Zhang Xianwu, Hu Shimiao, Su Shanju, and others standing below. Further back were the 9 elders of the Medicine King Hall. There had originally been 10, but the newly appointed elder, Sun Yixun, was temporarily absent. Palace Master, your strength is too strong. I didn't expect that you could kill several divine sect members and resolve this crisis. Zhang Ruomu flattered him at first, then turned to worry and said, however, Du Mingyun was right before he died. This matter will soon spread throughout the ancient martial arts world, and there is not only Gu Hongyu and Sandong Bridge, there are 2 other cave masters. Since Gu Hongyu is a divine sect member, presumably they may also be at this level, Zhang Ruomu continued, and there is also the Du family. This Du family usually does not show off their skills. Who would have thought that they had such a weird martial art? Du Mingyun, who is in the late Xianzong period, can fight against the divine sect after asking his ancestors to possess him, and as far as I know, the Du family has the peak of Xianzong, and it seems that there is also a half-step divine sect member. If those people asked their ancestors to possess them, their combat effectiveness may. Zhang Ruomu excluded the Iron Fist sect and only mentioned Sandong Bridge and the Du family in Shenzhen. At the end, his face was full of worry. Don't worry, Su Yang smiled fearlessly, I'll tell you a secret. I now have an extremely powerful trump card. As long as I use it, the entire ancient martial arts world will crawl at my feet, so, from now on, the Medicine King Palace doesn't need to fear any force. You all, be arrogant and stop being timid, Su Yang said sternly. In the past, the major forces in the ancient martial arts world looked up to the Medicine King Palace because we have highly skilled doctors who can treat their illnesses and provide them with process training resources, but from now on, I will make them look up to us because of our strength, and even respect us, and respect every doctor in the Medicine King Palace, Su Yang said passionately. In the near future, the doctors of my Medicine King Palace will be respected by all major forces when they go out and travel the ancient martial arts world, even if they are powerless. They will respect us from the bottom of their hearts and dare not overstep their bounds. Chapter 413 Wu Xianji Gate. This, a longed-for scene. When everyone heard this, their faces changed drastically. They were shocked and stunned at first, then ecstatic. They knelt on the ground excitedly and praised the palace master's divine power again. Especially Zhang Zhongyu, his eyes were red with excitement, and tears were shining in his eyes. Under the heavens, all respect the doctors of the Medicine King Palace. This was something Zhang Zhongyu had never achieved in his entire life, and now the palace master said that it would be realized soon, so he naturally cried with joy. Zhang Zhongyu did not ask much about Su Yang's trump card, because he knew that the palace master would not lie. Palace master, suddenly, a thought struck Zhang Zhongyu, who spoke up. Some time ago, several first-tier forces banded together to pressure our Medicine King Palace, forcing us to hand over a batch of cultivation resources. I originally refused. Among those first-tier forces, the strongest was only at the peak of the Xianzhuang sect, which I could easily handle. Zhang Zhongyu gritted his teeth as he recalled the previous incident. But when those first-tier forces threatened the Medicine King Palace, they used the banner of the Kunlun Zeman family. Later, I investigated and discovered that they had long been affiliated with the Zeman family. It was the Zeman family's intention to pressure us to hand over the cultivation resources. Zhang Zhongyu continued, for hundreds of years, our Medicine King Palace has only provided resources free of charge to three factions, the Fengshan land, between mountains and seas, and deep in the clouds and mist. We provided them free of charge, but to stabilize the ancient martial arts world, the three factions declared that they were purchasing the resources and would protect our Medicine King Palace. They warned the major mountain factions to abide by the rules and refrain from taking them by force. Zhang Zhongyu said, so, our Medicine King Palace is happy to accept it. It is mutually beneficial with the three major forces. However, the Kunlun Zeman family is not within the scope of our free resource provision. But the Zeman family dare not openly oppress the Medicine King Palace, otherwise they will become the target of public criticism. That's why we found a few first-class forces and put them in the open. In the end, all the medicinal materials received will definitely belong to the Zeman family. Zhang Zhongyu sighed and said, the Zeman family is too powerful, almost on par with the three major forces. So after much thought, I chose to compromise and agreed to those first-class forces, but the Zeman family's appetite is too big. They asked for a large amount of resources. The Medicine King Palace could not get them all at once, so I made an appointment with them to come back in a month to get the resources. Calculating the time, those first-class forces instructed by the Zeman family will go to the Kyoto Medicine King Palace tomorrow to ask for cultivation resources. Zhang Zhongyu looked at Su Yang and asked respectfully, Palace Master, in your opinion, should we send out the resources as agreed? Kunlun, the Zeman family. Su Yang's eyes flashed with a fierce look upon hearing this, and he sneered, of course not, the Zeman family. It was this family that had usurped Kunlun, their hands stained with the blood of the Su family. Hearing the words Zeman family, Su Yang was naturally furious, his eyes flashing with a murderous gleam. Zhang Zhongyu's heart trembled at this. He knew Su Yang's identity and background perfectly well. He knew that Su Yang came from the Kunlun Su family, whose ancestor, Su Wuji, had once dominated an era and enjoyed immense glory. So, seeing Su Yang's anger didn't surprise him. Instead, he looked at the crowd below and said calmly, all of you, withdraw, as you command. The 9 elders present, along with Zhang Ruomu, Zhang Xianwei, and the others, all complied and slowly exited the hall. Hu Shimao and Su Shanju, on the other hand, looked at Su Yang, who was seated. After receiving Su Yang's permission, they bowed and also left. Now, Su Yang and Zhang Zhongyu were the only ones left in the hall. Zhang Zhongyu, if you have anything to say, just say it. Su Yang naturally understood that Zhang Zhongyu had something to say alone. Palace Master, Zhang Zhongyu said with awe on his face, I have already known your identity. You are from the Kunlun Su family and have an irreconcilable feud with the Zeman family. Su Yang met Zhang Zhongyu's gaze and smiled gently. I know. Before my mother's fake grave, my father told me everything. That night, you followed me and overheard it. No. Zhang Zhongyu shook his head, and then said seriously, Palace Master, I already knew your origins long before this. Oh? Su Yang asked doubtfully, how did you know, Palace Master? Although you had made some reputation in Jiangbei as Su Xuantian, it was not so bad that the Medicine King Palace would do everything to please you and even hold the medical conference in Jiangbei. Zhang Zhongyu no longer concealed it and said, The reason why I did this is because the old master of the Xuanji sect once revealed your identity to me and told me that you are the one who will lead the Medicine King Palace to supreme glory. That's why I tried my best to please you. Secretly allowed you to be the hall master, trusted you 100%, and spared no effort to protect you." Zhang Zhongaiyu smiled and said, "I thought that it would take you a long time to make the Medicine King Hall rise, but I didn't expect that it has only been a short time and you already have the foundation to look down on the world." It seems that the old master of Xuanji sect is right. Xuanji sect, old master, Su Yang frowned slightly. It was not the first time he heard of this person's name. He frowned and said, "What realm is he in? Is he very strong?" Reporting to the hall master, "I don't know." Zhang Zhongaiyu shook his head and said, "I only know that the old master has the ability to deduce the secrets of heaven, and his status in the ancient martial arts world is transcendent. Even the three major forces in the Fenshin land, between the mountains and seas, and deep in the clouds and mist, dare not offend him rashly." "Oh, so where is Xuanji sect located?" Su Yang asked. "Wudang Mountain." "Wudang," Su Yang nodded, then chuckled softly. "I'd love to find him sometime and have him perform a test on me." Palace Master, Zhang Zhongaiyu didn't mention the old master any further, instead saying, "I'm telling you this to make it clear. From now on, I'll follow your lead." "Yes," Su Yang nodded gently, "since you trust me, I promise that sooner or later, the Medicine King Palace will stand at the pinnacle of ancient martial arts, and all doctors will be respected." "Okay," Zhang Zhongaiyu was thrilled, then said seriously, "Palace Master, what are your plans for the Zeman family?" "Haha, of course I'll destroy them, but now's not the time. Let's wait. I don't want to use my trump card. I plan to do it myself, blood for blood," Su Yang sneered. He could now build his foundation at any time, and that day wasn't too far off. "Palace Master, how will I deal with the several top-tier forces that the Zeman family will cultivate tomorrow?" Zhang Zhongaiyu inquired. Chapter 414, The Zeman clan will stain Kunlun Mountain with blood. Upon hearing this, Su Yang asked, "I remember you said those first-tier forces weren't very strong." "Yes," Zhang Zhongaiyu nodded. "Then, kill them all," Su Yang said with a cold look in his eyes. "Rise up now and lead the Medicine King Hall staff back to Kyoto. Kill them all. First, teach the Zeman family a lesson. If they come to settle the score, I'll slowly negotiate with them." "According to what you said, the Zeman family wouldn't dare openly launch an attack, nor would they dare harm the Medicine King Hall doctors. Just disgusting them isn't a big deal," Su Yang said in a deep voice. "When I successfully establish my foundation, I'll let the Zeman clan stain Kunlun Mountain with blood." "Yes," Zhang Zhongaiyu's heart surged, and he excitedly agreed. "Yes," Su Yang nodded, then suddenly remembered something and asked, "By the way, the 100 Sex Martial Arts competition is about to begin, right? It's the day after tomorrow." "Coincidentally, the location has been decided, Wudang Mountain," Zhang Zhongaiyu replied. "Is that so?" Su Yang chuckled softly. "It's just right. I'm going to participate in the 100 Sex Martial Arts competition and meet the so-called old sect leader." Zhang Zhongaiyu smiled and said, "With your strength, participating in the 100 Sex Martial Arts competition would be a complete waste of energy. Forget the 100 Sex Martial Arts competition. Even if you participate in the Famous Mountain Challenge, you have a great chance of success." "Famous Mountain Challenge?" Su Yang frowned. "What kind of competition is that?" "Well, this is what I mean," Zhang Zhongaiyu explained. "Sects in the ancient martial arts world are divided into those within the system and those outside the system. Sects within the system can occupy famous mountains and are protected and bound by the rules of the ancient martial arts world. They are orthodox. These sects disdain to participate in the rankings, so they look down on even first-tier forces. As long as they own famous mountains, they are superior. Even other first and second-tier forces, as long as they are outside the system, even if they have produced extremely powerful masters within their sects, they cannot seize and attack famous mountains within the system. Otherwise, they will be sanctioned by the entire ancient martial arts world," Zhang Zhongaiyu went on. "But this kind of unfairness, if it accumulates for a long time, will make the sects outside the system dissatisfied, and thus unite to resist the sects within the system, which is not conducive to the peaceful and stable development of the ancient martial arts world. That's why there is the Famous Mountain Challenge. During the Famous Mountain Challenge, all forces outside the system in the ancient martial arts world can challenge the major famous mountains, and the two strongest forces will fight against the strongest. If the challenger wins, They can drive out the original sect of the famous mountain, take over the famous mountain, and be promoted to the system, Zhang Zhongyu continued, and the sects that originally existed in the famous mountain are inferior in skills, so who will care about their feelings? To put it simply, this is a game that is beneficial to the sects within the system. It can make the sects within the system always the top sects in the ancient martial arts world. Only in this way can the sects outside the system be permanently suppressed and restrained. Zhang Zhongyu added. I see, Su Yang nodded, then smiled and said, this famous mountain challenge is quite interesting. Can I participate in both? This, Zhang Zhongyu smiled bitterly and said, of course you can. There is no rule that if you participate in the 100 sects martial arts competition, you cannot participate in the famous mountain challenge. It's just that the 100 sects martial arts competition is a competition for young disciples. From ancient times to the present, no young talents have participated in the 100 sects martial arts competition and then participated in the famous mountain challenge. It's fine as long as you can participate. Su Yang showed a smile at the corner of his mouth, and said lightly, I will participate then. That's fine too. Zhang Zhongyu did not dissuade him, but said, then I will take people back to Kyoto later to kill those first-class forces, and then come to find the palace master to escort you to Wudang Mountain. No need to be so troublesome, you can just stay in Kyoto, you don't need to accompany me. Su Yang shook his head. How can this be possible? The day after tomorrow, Wudang Mountain will be overrun with sects. The Du family of Xuantian and the other 2 cave masters of Sandong Bridge will definitely be there. It will be full of dangers, Zhang Zhongyu said anxiously, without my subordinates protecting you, Palace Master, don't worry, I'm protected. Su Yang smiled gently, have you forgotten that I have a foundation behind me that can make the entire ancient martial arts world tremble? Hearing Su Yang's words, Zhang Zhongyu was immediately relieved and nodded. Well, Palace Master, I look forward to your performance in Wudang Mountain. Yes, Su Yang nodded gently and said, you go out and call in Hua Shimao and Su Shanju. Yes, Zhang Zhongyu responded respectfully and then strode out of the hall. Master, not long after, Hua Shimao and Su Shanju appeared together and saluted respectfully. Su Yang raised his hand, motioning for the 2 to stand. He then turned to Hua Shimao and asked, Hua Shimao, how have you been getting along with the people in Medicine King Hall lately? Thanks to Master, I'm very well respected in Medicine King Hall, Hua Shimao replied. Haha, that's good. Upon hearing this, Su Yang formed a seal with his hands, condensing a point of light that shot into Hua Shimao's mind. Then, Su Yang chuckled softly and said, here are the remaining 9 revolutions rejuvenation needles. Take your time to figure them out. Remember, as I said, whoever contributes the most to the Medicine King Hall will be able to learn more of the 9 revolutions rejuvenation needles. Yes, Hua Shimao was overjoyed, and his voice trembled as he responded, disciple will obey master's orders. Yes, Su Yang nodded, then looked at Su Shanju and said calmly, Su Shanju, your strength has reached the pinnacle of the Xianzong. I now give you 2 choices. First, I can immediately allow you to step into the Xianzong, just like Zhang Zhongyu. As for the second, I'm sure you've guessed it. I'm not an ancient martial artist, but a cultivator, what you call a Kigen practitioner. Su Yang said seriously, your talent is the strongest among the older generation I've met. With your qualifications, if you devote yourself to cultivation, you may have the opportunity to become a local overlord. Although you once had murderous intentions towards me, considering that the key to the East Palace you provided has averted my danger several times, this may be destiny. Plus, you've already submitted to me, serving me as your master. You've signed a soul contract with me that can't be broken for life. Even if you become an immortal emperor, you can't escape me, Su Yang continued, taking all these into account, I can teach you the methods of cultivation, but once you cultivate, your ancient martial arts realm will be wasted. You'll lose all your true ki, becoming a mere cultivator at the first level of ki training. I can't help you with cultivation resources, you'll need to acquire them yourself, Su Yang said calmly, please seriously consider this. No need to consider it. Su Shanju knelt on the ground and said respectfully, Master, I choose to cultivate. Why? Su Yang asked with a smile. Practicing ancient martial arts will ultimately lead to death, while cultivating the authentic world offers the chance of eternal life. Su Shanju said sternly, I wish to trade my remaining life for a glimmer of hope. Master, you've also said that I have the potential to become a regional overlord. My current strength is no longer enough to help you. Master, I'll protect you again when I'm stronger. Xuantian said loyally. Excellent, very bold, Su Yang nodded, then taught Xuantian the techniques practiced by an immortal emperor. Then, Su Yang gave him a dozen energy stones and sent him on his way. Just like Guo Yi, he was left to forge his own path. Whether he could make a name for himself depended on his own fate. After handling matters at the Medicine King Hall, Su Yang had planned to rest at Evian Villa. However, he suddenly noticed Xufan's body undergoing a transformation within his storage ring, and a flicker of joy crossed his face. To avoid alerting others, Su Yang hurried to the Riverside Villa. Chapter 415 The Void Tower has been repaired. Xufan had already reached the foundation establishment stage long before, but she was so eager to transform into a human form that she kept pondering it. Su Yang, however, hadn't reached a critical juncture, so he hadn't called her out. Now, Xufan's body had finally changed, radiating a white glow. Su Yang had a vague feeling that Xufan was about to revert to her ancestral form, perhaps undergoing a profound transformation. When he first met Xufan, Su Yang's realm was relatively low, and he sensed something unusual about her, so he passed on the heaven-swallowing spirit beast art to her. At this moment, Su Yang could already discern that Xufan's ancestors were definitely not teddy bears. She possessed the bloodline of a powerful spirit beast, albeit a weak one. However, as Xufan embarked on her cultivation journey, her realms rose, and the power of her bloodline gradually increased, leading to signs of reversion. Under these circumstances, Xufan could no longer be kept within the stored ring. It wasn't that he was worried Xufan would cause too much noise and destroy the ring, but rather that to revert to her ancestral form, she needed to undergo the baptism of the heavenly Dao. The stored ring itself is a self-contained space devoid of heavenly Dao power, so it must be removed. However, Evian Villa is crowded with people, and making too much noise could be disastrous. Therefore, without hesitation, Su Yang cast the world away spell and headed for the Riverside Villa. Soon, Su Yang arrived at his destination and released Xufan from the stored ring. Buzz! At this moment, Xufan's body remained the shape of a small teddy bear, its brown fur now completely enshrouded in white light, quietly suspended in midair. The white light enveloping it was dazzling and possessed a terrifying aura. A closer look revealed Xufan's body slowly changing. The most obvious change was her fur, originally brown, now fading to white. Since successfully establishing her foundation, Xufan has been meditating and studying. Why has she suddenly regressed? Su Yang gazed at Xufan suspended in midair, filled with confusion. However, after examining the storage ring, he smiled with understanding. Not long ago, Su Yang stored the bodies of Gu Hongyu, Duan Muhai, Du Mingyan, and others in his stored ring. Last night, he had also placed the bloody remains of Zhang Changsheng in the ring. But now, there was no body inside, apparently absorbed entirely by Xufan. Gu Hongyu and Duan Muhai were at the divine sect level, their bodies overflowing with energy. Xufan's sudden absorption of so much energy had triggered a reversion, causing her to show signs of atavism. I wonder what species Xufan's ancestors once were? Now they're teddy bears. Could their ancestors have also been dogs? Su Yang couldn't help but speculate, but with no clues, he sat cross-legged and waited. Atavism wasn't dangerous, it just took time, so Su Yang wasn't worried. While I have some free time, let's study my void tower. With this thought, Su Yang's mind stirred, and a 9-story tower suddenly appeared, landing firmly in his hands. Su Yang held the void tower in one hand, his consciousness already entering its interior. After a moment, Su Yang frowned. The void tower has actually been repaired. It looks like it has 9 floors now, but in fact, only the bottom 3 floors are the real void tower. The other 6 floors were all added later. Su Yang stared at the void tower and continued, this repair method, why is it so similar to my weapon refining method? What's the matter? In order to break the confinement, I chose to perish together with a 9 nether hell. Even if the void tower was a top-notch imperial weapon, it would probably be reduced to dust. Even if some situation occurred and caused the void tower to be preserved and came to earth with me, I am sure that I have not repaired the void tower. Su Yang frowned and said, could it be that there is someone like me who knows powerful weapon refining methods, and the methods are exactly the same as mine? When that person saw that the void tower was broken and only had 3 floors, he collected materials and repaired the other 6 floors. To have the means to repair imperial weapons, that person must at least be an immortal emperor, otherwise he would not be able to withstand the power of an imperial weapon, and my dad said that the earth is in the Dharma ending age. After my great-grandfather condensed the golden elixir, his body showed ominous signs. How could there be an immortal emperor master on Earth? How strange, how strange. Su Yang couldn't figure it out, couldn't guess it, couldn't see it clearly, so he could only shake his head and stop thinking about it. Forget it, these things may be revealed in the future. Now I haven't established a foundation yet, and my realm is too low. It's useless to think too much. Su Yang continued to look at the Void Tower. After looking at it for a moment, he said with disgust, although the person who repaired the Void Tower was kind-hearted, the materials used were too rubbish. They did not reflect the power of the Void Tower at all. No wonder I noticed that the Void Tower was a little different from what I had imagined. The 6 floors above require a realm above the tribulation to open. For me now, it's dispensable. Every floor of my Void Tower is guarded by a mythical beast from the classic of mountains and seas. I have observed that only the bottom 3 floors are guarded by mythical beasts. The 6 floors above were added later, so they are just for show and there are no mythical beasts. In that case, what use do I have for it? It is better to destroy it and rebuild it when I find the lost parts or encounter precious refining materials in the future. With this thought, Su Yang closed his eyes slightly and began to let the Void Tower disintegrate on its own. The Void Tower, once an imperial artifact, is now incredibly sturdy. Even the immortal emperors of the Xuantian immortal realm would have to struggle to destroy it. But Su Yang is different. He is the master of the Void Tower. Despite countless years of separation, the Void Tower remains his. Therefore, with a single thought, Su Yang can pulverize the top 6 floors of the Void Tower. Bang! With a resounding sound, the top 6 floors of the Void Tower, counted from above, shattered into pieces. Countless fragments fell to the ground, emitting a faint glow and a powerful aura. Looking back at the Void Tower, only 3 floors remained. It looked a bit unsightly, but its might remained undiminished. This is my Void Tower. Without those encumbrances, it's even more perfect. Su Yang held the Void Tower, a smile on his face as he surveyed the remaining 3 floors. Taoji presided over the first floor. Kaionki guarded the 2nd floor. On the 3rd floor, the mythical beast Pixiu. These 3 layers were the most pristine, untouched by any repairs. Even with only 3 layers, the oppressive feeling they exuded was the same as before. Next, Su Yang focused his attention and attempted to awaken the mythical beast Taoji on the 1st floor. If successful, Su Yang would have a powerful trump card that could sweep the earth. But Taoji was like a dead object. No matter how Su Yang tried, he could not revive it. The same was true for Taoji, the Kaionki on the 2nd floor, and the Pixiu on the 3rd floor. Yet, Su Yang could sense that these 3 mythical beasts still had a breath of life. It seems this cheat won't work. We'll talk about it later. Su Yang gave a wry smile, his gaze settling on the 2nd floor of the Void Tower. Chapter 416 Shufan is a fox? This level not only houses the divine beast Kaionki, but also imprisons the soul of a human, none other than the demonic cultivator who battled Su Wuji over 100 years ago. Jidan Realm? Su Yang immediately recognized this individual's strength, slightly surprised, and muttered, Earth is truly more complex than I thought. A Jidan Realm cultivator has appeared. If my great-grandfather hadn't stepped forward and suppressed this individual, and allowed him to use Earth as his hunting ground, I'm afraid his power would have reached a terrifying level by now. But now, haha, once you enter my Void Tower, you can't expect to leave alive. Su Yang was completely confident in this, then sneered, your soul may be of some use for now. When my soul is damaged in the future, I can use you to nourish it. Neither Su Wuji, Su Kaionki, nor Su Shenbing possessed the Void Tower. They merely served as its safekeeping agents. Therefore, they were unable to activate the Void Tower to refine the demonic cultivator suppressed within. But Su Yang was different. He was the master of the Void Tower. Refining the demon cultivator's soul into a ball of ki was a simple task. But the demon cultivator was already trapped within the Void Tower. Su Yang was certain he couldn't escape, so he left him behind as a precaution. The Void Tower was an imperial artifact, naturally possessing a tower spirit. At this moment, Su Yang was attempting to communicate with the spirit. But after observing for a long time, he could not detect its presence. Could it be that the spirit had departed when the Void Tower lost its first 6 floors? It was possible. Void Tower, what exactly happened to you? Who destroyed you? Where did the spirit go? Were the other 6 floors shattered, or were they simply separated from these 3? Who is it that gave the Void Tower to my great-grandfather? Was it that person who taught him my great-grandfather's cultivation techniques? So many mysteries, Su Yang sighed, finally putting the void tower away, and no longer dwelling on these questions. He firmly believed that as long as he was strong enough, the truth would eventually come to light. Then, Su Yang looked at the scattered fragments on the ground, and with a sudden thought, he stored them in his storage ring. While the refining materials used to repair the void tower weren't worthy of the divine artifact, they were still top-notch materials. Saving them could be used to refine weapons, so they couldn't be wasted. Buzz! As soon as Su Yang finished, he saw Xuantian floating in midair, ablaze with white light, a mighty aura that illuminated half the sky. Reversion, success. Su Yang immediately looked over, his eyes filled with curiosity, eager to see what Xuantian would become. Another half-minute passed, and the blinding white light finally dissipated. Su Yang looked closely, his face filled with bewilderment, and he muttered, "Fox! Fox!" A fox, covered in white fur, appeared in midair. Its fur was soft and shiny, and it exuded a terrifying aura, especially its eyes, which were captivating. The most eye-catching thing is that it has 9 tails, swinging in the air, with infinite grace. 9-tailed dark fox, it's actually a 9-tailed dark fox. After a brief moment of bewilderment, Su Yang couldn't help swallowing his saliva and said in surprise, "The Fox clan is one of the most powerful demon clan forces in the world, in the Xuantian immortal realm. There are 4 immortal emperors who are immortal, and the Blue Phoenix Empress is one of them. In addition, there is an immortal emperor whose true form is a 9-tailed dark fox. It is said that she is the last 9-tailed dark fox in the world. Even though there are tens of thousands of descendants of the Fox clan, there is no second 9-tailed dark fox," Su Yang said in shock. "I didn't expect that I would have the honor of seeing a 9-tailed dark fox on Earth. The ancestor of a teddy was actually a 9-tailed dark fox. What happened back then?" Su Yang couldn't help but guess. Did Teddy cheat, or did the 9-tailed dark fox cheat, Master? Just as Su Yang was shocked, Xuantian, who was suspended in midair, said, "Stay away. I'm going to go through the thunder tribulation. As long as I go through the thunder tribulation, I can transform into human form." Su Yang's heart trembled at the ethereal voice of a young girl. He looked up at the sky and saw a dark cloud gathering over the riverside villa. Lightning seemed poised to strike at any moment. Xuantian has already successfully established her foundation, but the storage ring, blocking the path of heaven, delayed the thunder tribulation. Now it has arrived as expected. Su Yang retracted his gaze and looked at the 9-tailed dark fox in midair. He warned, "Xuantian, I can't interfere with your tribulation, as it could have a significant impact on you. Be careful." With that, Su Yang stepped back, leaving the stage to the 9-tailed dark fox. "Yes," Xuantian replied respectfully. Her fox eyes pierced the dark clouds, and then she soared fearlessly into the sky, seemingly unfazed by the thunder tribulation. At this moment, the citizens within 100 miles were captivated by the movement. Earlier, Xuantian's successful return to her ancestral form had released a powerful white light, which had alarmed many. Dark clouds were rolling in the sky for no apparent reason, accompanied by thunder and lightning, yet there was no sign of rain. Crucially, the clouds only covered a small area, while the moon was bright in the sky elsewhere, creating a stark contrast that was truly unusual. What's going on? What was that white light just now? Was it a falling meteor that landed over there, causing the dazzling white light? If you don't understand, please stop talking nonsense. That white light illuminated nearly half of Jiangbei City. The meteors we see aren't that blinding. What's going on now? Why are there these dark clouds in the sky out of nowhere? Look up, there looks like a dog in the clouds. A white dog. What dog? It's clearly a fox. Can't you even tell the difference between a dog and a fox? Countless citizens were discussing the situation, filming videos and uploading them online, causing an immediate uproar. Some even live-streamed the incident on short video streaming platforms. The internet was abuzz with excitement, and the incident escalated rapidly. The 9-tailed hellfox, nestled within the dark clouds, quickly became the focus of everyone's attention. Meanwhile, Xuantian's thunder tribulation began. In full view of the crowd, she braved the thunder tribulation head-on. Boom! With a resounding bang, a bull-sized bolt of lightning struck the 9-tailed hellfox. Without summoning any energy, the 9-tailed hellfox relied solely on its flesh to withstand the lightning strike. Boom! 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 Dozens more lightning bolts followed. And Xuantian took them all. Her once shiny white fur began to char, and blood began to flow from her mouth and nose. Chapter 417 Shi Jiushan thanks to the great god Zhu Mingyizhen for his certification. Holy crap, such terrifying lightning. Is the host showing a movie? The special effects are incredible. Director Dao Qihua from next door is kneeling down and crying, begging you to save his face. Host, what movie is this? Please tell me. May good people live a peaceful life. What nonsense are you talking about? How can this be a movie? Can't you see this is being filmed on a phone? The host is live streaming. TikTok is going viral. Lots of people are uploading similar videos. Look at number 8 on the popularity list. A mysterious lightning layer appeared in Jiangbei. The host is live streaming it right there. It's not number 8. Holy crap, it's already number 1 on the popularity list. Is this a true story? It has to be true. Who could be so generous? And I'm right here near the scene, witnessing it right now. There's indeed a lightning layer in the sky, and a white fox is inside it. Sorry, my pet sneaked out to survive the tribulation. I'm sorry for causing trouble for everyone. Bullshit, I'm the white fox. First of all, I've taken up a lot of public resources and wasted everyone's traffic. I apologize. 10 minutes later, the internet exploded, especially on TikTok, where a mysterious layer of lightning had appeared in Jiangbei. It quickly topped the trending charts today, attracting countless viewers. At this moment, at a riverside villa, Su Yang gazed at the nine-tailed dark fox within the layer of lightning, unfazed. He chuckled softly. As expected of an endangered species, it's able to withstand the thunder tribulation with its own strength, unprepared. Judging from Shufan's current condition, she's not seriously injured and will definitely be able to handle it, Su Yang speculated. The layer of lightning will dissipate in less than 5 minutes. Shufan said she'll transform into human form after the tribulation. I wonder what she'll look like. Su Yang gazed skyward with interest, his eyes filled with anticipation. What had transpired over Jiangbei had alarmed not only ordinary people but also the major sects of the ancient martial arts world. Mount Tai, the site of the Fengshan ceremony. Shi Haohan stood atop Mount Tai, gazing into the distance, his expression heavy. Is that a thunder tribulation? Shi Haohan muttered to himself. How many years have passed? Are there any cultivators on Earth anymore? Since Su Wuji disappeared, I haven't heard of any thunder tribulation appearing. I'm afraid the ancient martial arts world will be in turmoil again. Next to Shi Haohan stood a tall, handsome man in his 20s or 30s, with bright eyes, sharp eyebrows, and an imposing demeanor. He was Shi Haohan's grandson, Shi Jiushan, whose father was Shi Haohan's second son. Grandpa, at this time, Shi Jiushan couldn't help but ask, is the story about Su Wuji true or false? My grandson has heard it several times, but he still doesn't believe that there are really cultivators in the world. Of course it's true, Grandpa, I experienced it myself. That era belonged to Su Wuji. This is a memory that no one can erase. Speaking of Su Wuji, Shi Haohan's face was full of awe, and then he said, Jiushan, you don't have to think too much about this matter. Although cultivators are powerful, they cannot survive in the world. Once they set foot in a certain realm, they will suffer an ominous fate. Unless they leave the earth through the ancient road, they will die soon. It won't have much impact on us. The most urgent task now is to prepare for the 100 sex martial arts competition the day after tomorrow, Shi Haohan said seriously. Our Fengshan land has always been the leader of the ancient martial arts world. The first place in the 100 sex martial arts competition must belong to Taishan. Yes, Shi Jiushan heard this and said confidently, Grandpa, don't worry. My grandson will definitely win the championship in this year's 100 sex martial arts competition and further promote the reputation of the Fengshan land. Yeah, Shi Haohan looked at his grandson and smiled with satisfaction. I didn't expect you to be so gifted. After receiving the good fortune I bestowed upon you, you've leaped into the rank of half-step divine sect, completing a stunning comeback. However, you must not be complacent. Between the mountains and seas, deep in the mist, and even in Wudang Mountain and Bodhi Mountain, those elders will surely grant their disciples opportunities. Your opponents will undoubtedly be formidable. Be mentally prepared, Shi Haohan warned. Yes, Shi Jiushan nodded. No matter how strong the opponent, I will give it my all, playing it safe and winning, and not giving them even the slightest chance. Good. Hearing this, Shi Haohan patted Shi Jiushan's shoulder with satisfaction, his eyes full of approval. Grandpa, there's something I can't figure out, Shi Jiushan suddenly said. You say? Yes, Shi Jiushan nodded, then asked curiously, grandson heard that the Medicine King Palace has been oppressed by several first-rate forces recently, and the people behind the scenes seem to be the Kunlun Zeman family, our Fengshan land, between the mountains and the sea, deep in the clouds. The three major forces have an agreement with the Medicine King Palace, and they have clearly stated that they will maintain order in the ancient martial arts world. Shi Jiushan continued, now that the Medicine King Palace is threatened, why don't we in the Fengshan land step forward to stop it? I already knew about this. Shi Haohan smiled and said, I contacted the two old guys in Laotian and Lushan long before. But they all shirked responsibility and didn't want to get involved in this matter. Presumably, the 100 sex martial arts competition and the famous mountain challenge are imminent, and they don't want to offend the Zeman family. Shi Haohan smiled lightly. In this case, we in the Fengshan land naturally can't be the first to pretend to be ignorant. Grandpa, is the Kunlun Zeman family really that powerful? Shi Jiushan asked doubtfully. Very strong, Shi Haohan said seriously. I heard that the ancestor of the Zeman family once became a disciple of Su Wuji and learned some methods of cultivation. I have never seen him take action until now, and I don't know what his current situation is. What? The ancestor of the Zeman family is a cultivator? After being shocked, Shi Jiushan asked, Grandpa, didn't you say that cultivators will encounter ominous things and will not be able to survive in the world? Well, but maybe the old patriarch of the Zeman family has not yet reached the realm of growing ominous things. I don't know the details, Shi Haohan said with deep taboos. In short, don't offend the Zeman family if you can, understand? Shi Jiushan nodded, then thought of something, and said, Grandpa, Aunt Yuan has been imprisoned in the Cliff of Repentance for almost 5 years. When do you plan to let her out? Huh? That depends on when she bows her head and admits her mistake to me. Shi Haohan's gaze fell on Shi Jiushan, and he said in a deep voice, Jiushan, I know you and Yuan have gotten along well these past 5 years. She's taught you some cultivation techniques, and you hold her in high esteem, but she's a criminal. Until she repents, I don't want to hear her name from you again, and I certainly don't want you to plead for her. Do you understand? Shi Haohan said solemnly. Yes, Shi Jiushan quickly agreed, not daring to disobey his grandfather. HMPH, seeing this, Shi Haohan waved his sleeves and sprang away. Goodbye, Grandpa. After watching Shi Haohan leave, Shi Jiushan didn't linger at the summit. His figure flashed, and he soon arrived at the Cliff of Repentance. This was a waterfall, and once you crossed it, you could enter a cave. Su Yang's mother, Shi Yuan, had been imprisoned in the cave for a full 5 years. Shi Jiushan stood outside the waterfall, bowed and clasped his fists, his eyes filled with respect for his elders. He said, Aunt Yuan, your nephew Shi Jiushan wishes to see you. Chapter 418 Shi Yuan. The Cliff of Repentance. The waterfall resembled the Milky Way hanging upside down, perfectly steady, the water flowing like a still image. On the other side of the cliff, Shi Jiushan clasped his hands together and repeated respectfully, Nephew Shi Jiushan, begging for an audience. A moment later, a woman's voice rang from within the waterfall. Jiushan, come in. Yes, Shi Jiushan replied respectfully, then leaped toward the waterfall, his figure quickly disappearing into the depths. Then, into the cave within the waterfall. Shi Jiushan, familiar with the route, strode forward. After a dozen meters, he stopped, gazed forward, and bowed. Aunt Yuan, directly ahead, a circular platform stood, its top empty. The bright moonlight perfectly illuminated the platform, making it the most striking feature of the cave. At this moment, atop the platform, a woman in a turquoise blue dress sat cross-legged. Her features were exquisite, her face delicate. Though she looked in her 40s or 50s, she still possessed a breathtaking beauty. The bright moonlight shone on the woman, adding a touch of brilliance. She was Su Yang's mother, Shi Yuan, formerly known as Yang Yuan, who had lived in Jiangbei for over a decade. Shi Yuan smiled at her nephew and said, Jiushan, why did you think of coming to see me so late, Auntie? The 100 sex martial arts competition will begin the day after tomorrow, at Wudang Mountain. Shi Jiushan bowed his head and said in awe, my nephew will leave for Wudang tomorrow, so I came here tonight to say goodbye, Auntie. Although Shi Haohan had a hostile attitude towards Shi Yuan, even imprisoning her on the Cliff of Repentance, Shi Jiushan, as a nephew, behaved with great courtesy in her presence, clearly recognizing his aunt. Furthermore, Shi Yuan had once been a brilliant genius. Though her martial arts skills were now gone, she still had experience and often lectured Shi Jiushan, which gave him great respect. Of course, this was also because his father, Shi Yunhei, had a close sibling bond with Shi Yuan since childhood. 5 years ago, when Shi Yuan first arrived at the Fengshan site, his father, Shi Yunhei, warned him not to neglect his aunt because of his grandfather's attitude. The 100 sex martial arts competition, Shi Yuan recalled with a touch of nostalgia. Shenbing and I met at the 100 sex martial arts competition, she said. 20 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Time flies by so quickly, and, do you miss my uncle? Shi Jiushan whispered. Yes, 5 years have passed. I don't know how he's doing now, or how our children are doing. Shi Yuan's expression was complicated, and her eyes moistened as she recalled. It's a shame I won't be able to see them again in this lifetime, and, don't be sad, and don't lose hope. My father said, blood is thicker than water. Sooner or later, my grandfather will accept my uncle and my cousins, Shi Jiushan consoled her. Except, Shi Yuan smiled bitterly and shook her head. Your grandfather's temper and personality are like a stone in a toilet, smelly and hard, stubborn as hell. He will never accept the magic weapon, and my child, if grandpa won't accept it, I'll make him accept it. Shi Jiushan heard this, but said seriously, a few days ago, grandpa said that as long as I can win the championship of this year's 100 sex martial arts competition for the Fengshan land, he will agree to one of my requests. No matter what the request is, as long as he can do it, he will agree to it unconditionally, and, I will ask grandpa to release you from the cliff of repentance, and accept the reality, so that he can let go of the obsession in his heart, Shi Jiushan said. Jiushan, Shi Yuan was very moved and said with a smile, you are a good child. However, there will be many masters in the 100 sex martial arts competition. All major sects will go all out and send out their top geniuses. You just need to do your best and don't force yourself. Yes, Shi Jiushan vowed, and, don't worry, your nephew knows his limits. Yeah, Shi Yuan nodded, and then asked, Jiushan, are you confident about this 100 sex martial arts competition? And, I am very confident, Shi Jiushan smiled and said, now, your nephew is already a half-step divine sect, and I am confident that I can defeat all the geniuses in the 100 sex martial arts competition. Half-step divine sect, the strength is indeed not weak. Over the years, there have been no geniuses of this realm participating in the 100 sex martial arts competition. You do have the hope of winning the championship. Shi Yuan nodded with satisfaction. I have to thank you, and if it weren't for your guidance, I wouldn't have grasped the opportunity grandpa gave me so quickly, Shi Jiushan said gratefully. Don't say that. It's mainly because you're incredibly gifted. Shi Yuan smiled, looking through the Fengshan land. No one can compare to you in terms of talent. For hundreds of years, you've probably been the second most gifted person in Mount Tai. Thank you, and, Shi Jiushan said, a rare smile. He didn't ask who was the most gifted, because he knew it was his aunt Shi Yuan. To this day, legends about her aunt circulate throughout the Fengshan land. Legend has it that when she was born, a strange phenomenon appeared in the sky, 9 stars aligned and descended upon the Fengshan land. At every realm, from Mingjin to Njin to Huijin, Grandmaster, Earth Sect, and Heaven Sect. At every level, she broke records in the Fengshan land, advancing triumphantly and overwhelming the prodigies of her time in the ancient martial arts world. If not for this, why would Grandpa be so furious upon seeing her completely depleted of her true energy? And, Shi Jiushan suddenly remembered something and said, about yesterday, I heard Grandpa mention my cousin Su Yang. It seems he'll also be participating in the 100 sex martial arts competition. What? Shi Yuan, who had been sitting on the round platform, had a dead look in her eyes, seemingly uninterested in everything. But hearing Shi Jiushan's words, she suddenly tensed up and asked hurriedly, Jiushan, did you hear correctly? Aang has had no talent for martial arts since childhood and hasn't studied martial arts. How could he be participating in the 100 sex martial arts competition? And, you underestimate my cousin. He's incredibly powerful now. My grandfather said he's the palace master of the Medicine King Hall, Shi Jiushan said with a smile. He had mentioned the Medicine King Hall to Shi Haohen because he had this connection, and he wanted to persuade Grandpa to help. But before he could say anything, Shi Haohen emphasized the power of the Zeman family, so Shi Jiushan didn't offer any help. The Lord of Medicine King Palace, Shi Yuan frowned and said, isn't this nonsense? How can he, an ordinary person, be the Lord of Medicine King Palace? What was the Medicine King Palace thinking that they would choose him? As she spoke, Shi Yuan suddenly thought of something. Her face turned grim and she muttered to herself, "Humph, Medicine King Palace, what a scheming mind. They must have taken a fancy to Aang's identity." If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 419 Su Yang's Cousin. Shi Yuan was well aware of the Su family's origins, and the Medicine King Hall must have uncovered some clues. The Su family originated from Kunlun, a clan founded by Su Wuji, once considered the greatest figure in the world. The Medicine King Hall must have known about the Su family's background, which is why they promoted Su Yang to the position of palace master. Furthermore, Su Yang had connections to the Fengshan, imperial right, site, being the grandson of Shi Haohan, the master of Mount Tai. Given these two factors, the Medicine King Hall naturally wanted to support Su Yang as palace master, hoping to capitalize on his influence. This understanding was the reason Shi Yuan spoke earlier. And, that's not the case. Shi Jiushan shook his head and said, "Cousin Su Yang is not an ordinary person. He is already an ancient warrior, and his strength is not weak. My nephew told you before that Shi Zhuan was killed in Jiangbei. Have you forgotten?" Shi Yuan asked doubtfully. "I have an impression that Shi Zhuan is not of the Shi family bloodline. It's better for him to die, so as not to embarrass your grandfather. But the person who killed him was called Su Xuantian. What does he have to do with Su Yang? And, Grandpa said that Su Xuantian is Su Yang," Shi Jiushan continued. "At the beginning, Shi Zhuan was instigated by the Du family in Shenzhen and went to Jiangbei to destroy his uncle's family. The first time, he was repelled by the old man of the Su family. The second time, Shi Zhuan brought a Xianzong. It was that time that Su Yang disguised himself as Su Xuantian and killed Shi Zhuan and a Xianzong early-stage master. Not only that," Shi Jiushan added, "later, Du Hongjin and Shi Zhuan's biological father, Chu Fushan, went to Jiangbei to avenge him. These two were both in the late Xianzong stage, and they both died at the hands of cousin Su Yang," Shi Jiushan continued. "Grandpa was there. He said that cousin Su Yang used a myriad of tactics and exerted all his might to kill two late Xianzong cultivators, but he himself, what happened to Aang?" Shi Yuan asked anxiously. "And, cousin Su Yang is fine, just seriously injured. I haven't heard from him since, so I'm sure he's recovered a lot," Shi Jiushan replied. "That's good," Shi Yuan breathed a sigh of relief. Then she showed a relieved smile. "In just 5 years, I didn't expect that my Aang has become so powerful. He is in the late stage of Shaishan sect, so he is at least at this level." After being relieved, Shi Yuan's nose was suddenly sore, and tears flashed in her eyes. "In 5 years, he has made such great progress. How did he spend these 5 years? How much hardship and blood and sweat did he suffer? Aang, and, don't be sad. It is a happy thing that cousin Su Yang has achieved what he has today," Shi Jiushan comforted. "Yes," Shi Yuan wiped away her tears and smiled gently. "Can't cry, Aang is my pride, and, there is one more thing. If nothing unexpected happens, cousin Su Yang should also go to Wudang Mountain to participate in the 100 sex martial arts competition." "Huh?" Shi Yuan puzzled. "Why? Who asked him to go?" "Of course it's Grandpa." Shi Jiushan was deeply valued by Shi Haohan and knew a lot of things, so he said. Grandpa and the foundation of the Medicine King Hall reached a verbal agreement. As long as cousin Su Yang can win the first place in the 100 sex martial arts competition, he will allow cousin Su Yang to ascend to the Fengshan land, and even let your family be reunited. However, with cousin Su Yang's strength, I'm afraid he will not be able to win the first place in the 100 sex martial arts competition. He is only in the late stage of Xianzong. I'm afraid he can't even make it into the top 20, Shi Jiushan said so, without any contempt. Aang, the 100 sex martial arts competition is extremely dangerous. The reason why the divine weapon dared to participate back then was because he was protected by the Su family's foundation, but that foundation was contaminated with the old poison many years ago in order to save the divine weapon, and his power has been dissipated. If no one protects Aang, if his identity is exposed, he will definitely become the target of public criticism. Shi Yuan's face was full of worry, and her eyes were full of anxiety. "And, don't worry. Thanks to your kindness for the past 5 years, your nephew will protect cousin Su Yang and will not let him be in any danger, Shi Jiushan said with a smile. Besides, Grandpa will also go to Wudang to preside over the 100 sex martial arts competition and the famous mountain challenge. Grandpa has always been a man with a sharp tongue but a soft heart. After all, cousin Su Yang is his grandson. Shi Jiushan smiled and said, if cousin is in danger, he will definitely not stand idly by. As for the 100 sex martial arts competition, cousin Su Yang may encounter powerful opponents and his life will inevitably be in danger, Shi Jiushan continued. However, my nephew has some prestige in the ancient martial arts world. The young geniuses of the major sects all have some friendship with my nephew. I will greet them in advance and ask them to take good care of cousin Su Yang. Well, Jiushan, thank you for your help, Shi Yuan said gratefully. And, you're embarrassing me, Shi Jiushan said sternly. This is what I should do. If my father knew, he'd let me do it too. Why bother, haha, second brother has a good child? Shi Yuan looked at Shi Jiushan with a look of satisfaction, praising him generously. And, cousin Su Yang is destined to fail, but I can, Shi Jiushan promised, just wait for my good news at the Cliff of Repentance. After I return from Wudang, I'll take cousin Su Yang and take you away from the cliff. It's getting late. We're leaving Wudang tomorrow. I need to make some preparations, so I won't be accompanying you. Well, you can go, Shi Yuan nodded. Don't stress too much about the 100 sex martial arts competition. Yes, Shi Jiushan bowed and saluted, then leaped over the waterfall and exited the Cliff of Repentance. Watching Shi Jiushan leave, Shi Yuan looked up at the bright moon above, her eyes filled with longing. Divine weapon, Aang, heroine, 5 years since we've parted. Flowers may bloom again, but will we ever meet again? Meanwhile, between the mountains and the sea, Mount Laotian. This celestial mountain on the sea, surrounded by surging waves and crowned by lush greenery, offers a unique landscape. The sounds of Shufan's tribulation naturally reached here. A cultivator, a small old man in a Taoist robe sat cross-legged on a mat, surrounded by dim light. His eyes were sunken, his body withered, and he looked emaciated. But his eyes pierced with a fierce, piercing light that was heart-pounding. The 100 sex martial arts competition and the famous mountain challenge are about to begin. At such a critical moment, there is actually a cultivator who is undergoing tribulation. Is there going to be a second Su Wuji in the world? Forget it. Even if he is really a cultivator, he can't affect my mountains and seas. In this famous mountain challenge, I must challenge Wudang and prove to the ancient martial arts world that my Laotian, not Wudang, is the orthodox Taoist sect. At the end of his words, the light in the old man's eyes was as if real. Even the moonlight seemed a little weaker under his might. Chapter 420 Turning into Human Form. On the other side, deep in the mist, Mount Lu. Amidst the sea of clouds, a young man in an inky black robe stood proudly. He looked to be in his 20s or 30s, with sparkling eyes and sharp brows, his body enveloped in a hazy mist. This man was Mount Lu's #1 prodigy, Mo Dao, also known as Young Master Mo Dao. Master, it's been almost 10 years since we left Mount Lu. I wonder how he's doing now. Mo Dao looked up toward Jiang Bei and muttered, there's talk online that someone in Jiang Bei is undergoing a tribulation. I'm afraid the ancient martial arts world will be in turmoil. Master, will you go to Wudang and take charge for me? Mo Dao's master was the old poisonous creature, Lin Yuan. Previously, on the battlefield in southern Xinjiang, the old poisonous creature had attempted to attack Su Yang, but was driven away by Xiao and disappeared. Jiang Bei, 5 years have passed. Ever since I learned Zuir lost her innocence there, I've wanted to go there and use the poison skills I've learned my entire life to destroy the city. Mo Dao's eyes flashed with a fierce gleam as he muttered, but for this 100 sex martial competition, I've chosen to remain silent. As a prodigy hidden deep in the mist, I can't easily reveal my true strength. However, the 100 sex martial competition will be the day after tomorrow. After I win first place, I'll travel alone to Jiang Bei and make the dandy who stole Zuir's innocence suffer a fate worse than death. At the same time, I'll poison the people of Jiang Bei and tell the world that no one can touch what's mine. The Zuir Mo Dao was referring to was naturally Jin Shangsu, the leader of the Nine Gates Alliance. In the ancient martial arts world, not only these 3 factions had noticed, but many other sects were also suspicious. At this moment, in Jiang Bei, at a riverside villa, for several minutes, the 9-tailed dark fox continued to resist the thunder tribulation. its body stained blood red, its snow white fur vanishing. By now, the nine-tailed dark fox was struggling to even stand. Fortunately, the thunderstorm was about to dissipate, leaving only one final blow. Boom! With a resounding bang, a thick streak of lightning suddenly struck the nine-tailed dark fox. Ouch! In an instant, the nine-tailed dark fox let out a loud bang, its body transforming into a stream of light, falling from the layer of lightning. At the same time, the layer of lightning completely vanished, and the night sky returned to calm, with a bright moon hanging high in the sky. As for the streak of light transformed by the nine-tailed dark fox, it landed squarely on the riverside villa. Shufan, Xu soared into the air and caught the nine-tailed dark fox 10 meters above the ground. After a thorough examination, Xu breathed a sigh of relief, saying, "She's fine, she's just unconscious." Shufan was taking too much of a risk. I thought she'd try to shatter the thunder tribulation, but she'd resisted it with her body. She didn't dodge, but took the brunt of it, deliberately allowing the lightning to strike her. Xu smiled and said, "However, the benefits of doing so are enormous. Her body, baptized by thunder and lightning, will become immensely stronger. I sense that the power of thunder and lightning is already flowing within her. After she survives the thunder tribulation, that power will feed back. If nothing unexpected happens, Shufan's injuries will heal quickly." With this thought in mind, Xu carried the nine-tailed dark fox back to his room on the 3rd floor, placing it on his bed. Then, he took out several energy stones and set up a small formation that would detect anyone approaching. Afterward, Xu sat cross-legged on the edge of the bed and began to consider his foundation-building efforts. Shufan's foundation building caused such a powerful thunder tribulation. She's from the demon clan, and a powerful nine-tailed dark fox. Her body is strong and can withstand the thunder tribulation. However, I'm different. Although I have the soul of an immortal emperor, my body has not been strengthened, Xu worriedly said. Besides, if the immortal emperor's soul is discovered by the heavenly Dao, I'm afraid the power of the thunder tribulation will become extremely terrifying. After all, the heavenly Dao is suppressing cultivators. If something like the immortal emperor's soul appeared on earth, I'm afraid the heavenly Dao would send down the most powerful thunder tribulation and wipe me out directly. Right? Xu face was solemn. No, I must slow down and build my foundation once I'm fully prepared. At the very least, I must hide the immortal emperor's soul while I'm building my foundation. Now that I have the void tower, if I had more energy stones, I could do that, Xu calculated, but this would require at least tens of thousands of energy stones. The ones in my storage ring are far from enough. It seems I'll have to work hard to collect energy stones, but for now, whether I build my foundation or not doesn't have much impact. Xu glanced at the nine-tailed hellfox lying on the bed and chuckled softly. Shufan's fighting prowess must be at its peak now. With her here, I'll have the confidence to defy all ancient martial artists during my trip to Wudang Mountain. No one can defeat me, this time. Besides participating in the 100-sex martial arts competition and the famous mountain challenge, I'll also seek out the so-called old sect leader to see if he can truly decipher the mysteries of the heavens. With this thought in mind, Xu slowly closed his eyes and began to practice the 9-nether prison suppression technique. His entire body permeated with spiritual energy. Although Shufan's tribulation was over, rumors of the thunder layer appearing in Jiangbei continued to ferment online. Oh shit, that fox disappeared, and so did the lightning layer. Did it succeed or fail in its tribulation? I saw white light descend. That fairy fox is so beautiful, much prettier than the foxes in the zoo. I've seen so many movies and TV shows where foxes transformed into human form are all incredibly beautiful. I wonder if it can do that. Fellow Daoists, I'm warning you, please stop talking about my wife. I'll get mad if you keep doing that. My wife? Can you please stop pretending? That's ridiculous. She's clearly my wife. Netizens were divided over their opinions. However, to avoid public panic, officials issued a statement claiming that the Jiangbei tribulation event was just a mirage, a visual effect caused by light refraction. It was all fake. There was no white fox undergoing the tribulation, and even the lightning layer didn't exist. It was all an illusion. Please don't panic. Meanwhile, the official satellite TV station invited experts and professors from Huazhong University of Science and Technology to give an overnight media interview, explaining the Jiangbei tribulation incident using various professional physics techniques. This statement fooled the vast majority of netizens. After all, in the worldview they have adhered to for so many years, There are no monsters and demons, and all strange events can be explained by science. However, there are still a small number of netizens who firmly believe that fox spirits really exist, so they turned into keyboard warriors and posted various comments on the internet to respond to the experts and professors of Huazhong University of Science and Technology. In a blink of an eye, the sun rose, and it was already the second day. Su Yang sat cross-legged with his eyes slightly closed, practicing the 9-nether prison suppression technique. But at this moment, he suddenly felt itchy on his face, so he opened his eyes, and was stunned for a moment, and froze on the spot. Shufan, she, turned into human form, with an exquisite figure, jealous white and tender, and exuding a special fragrance. Especially her face. This face is so charming, it is simply blessed by God, and it can attract both men and women. Her beautiful eyes are even more captivating and make people's heart beat faster. Since it was her first time transforming into human form, Shufan was previously a 9-tailed dark fox without clothes, so now, ahem. But her transformation wasn't complete, her white tail was still there. The reason Su Yang felt itchy just now was because she was rubbing her fluffy tail against his face. Chapter 421 Master, do you hate me? Gurgle. Su Yang stared blankly at the scene before him, his eyes wide open, his heart restless. A charming and graceful girl, in her 20s, exuding an alluring fragrance, appeared in bed like this. What man could resist? Most excitingly, the girl was holding a fluffy tail in her hand, a unique charm, and looking at him with a smile on her face. Su Yang couldn't help swallowing, his heart pounding. Master, at this moment, Shufan once again held up her white tail, gently sweeping it across Su Yang's face. Then, she said softly, I'm Shufan, and I've transformed into human form. Yes, I see. Su Yang finally came to his senses after hearing the ethereal girl's voice. He immediately stood up from the bed, averted his gaze, and said, Shufan, stop rubbing your tail against me. Why? Shufan looked at Su Yang with her beautiful eyes, aggrieved. Master, do you hate me? No. Su Yang cleared his throat and said, but there are differences between men and women. You're a girl, so let's not get too close. Why not? Shufan's beautiful eyes were filled with confusion. As she spoke, she walked towards Su Yang, and for a moment, the scenery was breathtaking. Because, Su Yang hurriedly said, ahem, Shufan, put on your clothes quickly. Clothes? I never wear clothes. Why should I? I think this looks good. Shufan looked down at her body, clearly very satisfied with her figure. Well, it's so cold outside. You'll freeze if you don't wear any clothes, Su Yang said casually. I'm not afraid of the cold. Shufan smiled and said, Master, can I not wear any clothes? No, Su Yang said with a dark face, I order you to wear clothes. Lie down on the bed and wrap yourself in the quilt. I'll go buy you some clothes, okay? Shufan was a little reluctant, but she still did as Su Yang said. She covered her body with a quilt, leaving only her head exposed. Her face was fresh and refined, and she was so beautiful that it could captivate the whole country. That's right, Su Yang was about to go out, and suddenly thought of something, so he asked, Shufan, I passed on some common sense of cultivation to you before. Now that you have broken through to the foundation building stage, do you feel any difference on Earth? Yes, Shufan responded, Master, the laws of the Earth are rather strange. Here, the power of cultivators will be magnified several times. After building the foundation, they can fly in the air and chop mountains with their palms, Shufan continued, but it is very difficult to break through on Earth. According to the experience you passed on to me, a cultivator breaking through to the foundation building stage will not cause a thunder tribulation, but the Earth will have to experience the baptism of thunder tribulation. Speaking of thunder tribulation, Shufan raised her neck and said proudly, however, for us 9-tailed dark foxes, thunder tribulation is just a means of strengthening the physical body. It is not worth mentioning. Master, you saw it all last night. Am I powerful? Shufan looked at Su Yang, and her little look seemed to be saying, praise me quickly. Impressive? Su Yang smiled, raised his hand, and touched Shufan's head. Then, realizing that Shufan had taken human form, his face flushed with embarrassment. He took 2 steps back and said, Shufan, you've entered the foundation building stage and can cultivate some secret arts. I have some secret arts practiced by powerful demons here. And I'll pass them on to you now, Master. No need. Shufan shook her head. I don't know why, but after returning to my ancestral state, I gained some extra memories, including secret arts. They seem quite powerful, is that so? Su Yang examined Shufan carefully, concluding that her origins were more complex than that. Perhaps she had a deep connection to the only nine-tailed dark fox in the world. Regardless of Shufan's origins, she now had only one identity, Su Yang's spirit beast. Once a soul contract was signed, it could not be broken without the master's consent. Even the 4 immortal emperors of the Xuantian immortal realm could not alter it. Therefore, Su Yang had no need to worry about Shufan posing a threat. Thinking of this, Su Yang didn't ask about the secret technique. Instead, he said, "Okay, Shufan, stay here. I'll go buy you some clothes." "Yes," Shufan smiled charmingly, reminding him, "Master, don't forget to buy the inner layer." Inner layer. Su Yang paused, momentarily lost for words. "Yes, it's the kind that every girl wears," Shufan explained, her face flushed. Ahem, Su Yang suddenly understood, feeling slightly embarrassed. "No, Shufan, you even know what girls wear, yet you acted so innocent just now, asking me why I wear clothes. Are you teasing me?" "Yes," Shufan smiled and stuck out her tongue, looking adorable. "Shit. She's so charming, so sexy, and yet she's also a little cute. And most importantly, her voice is pure and ethereal, it could kill any man in the world. I'm leaving now." Leaving this, Su Yang hurried out of the room, fearing he'd lose control if he stayed any longer. "Master, how interesting. Are all humans so hypocritical? They clearly have the thought, but never put it into action. Anyway, I'll stay by Master's side. Sooner or later, I'll have him in bed with me." Shufan watched Su Yang disappear, a sly smile in her beautiful eyes, as if she had Su Yang in her sight. Before leaving the riverside villa, Su Yang took a look in the adjacent room. Last night, he hadn't brought Shufan to his own room, but stayed in another one. That's because Liu Wanyin and 10 others were practicing in Su Yang's room, using the moonlight. Entering his own room, Su Yang found Liu Wanyin and the others radiating a chilling light, practicing the Guanganju. They absorbed the power of the moonlight last night, but the Guanganju is of a very high level, and mastering it is not easy. I won't disturb them. With this thought in mind, Su Yang descended to the 3rd floor. Then, as he was about to drive to buy some clothes for Shufan, he received a call from Li Fixun. "Su Yang, are you free today? If so, come over to my house. My mom wants to see you," Li Fixun whispered over the phone. "Fixun, you can't even speak. What do you mean he has time?" "Humph, whether he has time or not, he has to come to the Li family today, or never again." Before Su Yang could respond, his mother-in-law, Han Yongsha's voice, rang through the line. "Mom, I'm talking to Su Yang. Can you please be quiet?" Li Fixun complained, then continued, "Su Yang, don't listen to my mom. If you have time, come over. If you don't, forget it." "Honey, how could I not have time? I was just about to come see you." Su Yang smiled softly and said, "Wait at home. I'll be there soon." "Okay, drive slowly," Li Fixun said with concern. "Okay," Su Yang smiled, then hung up the phone and drove straight to the Li family estate. Chapter 422 Father-in-law's family brother position. Since it was daytime and the streets were crowded, and since he wasn't in a hurry, Su Yang chose to drive instead of using the Zhiqianyat, a world away from the city. Before long, he arrived at the Li family manor. His father-in-law, Li Kewu, was already waiting outside. Seeing Su Yang get out of the car, Li Kewu walked forward with a smile. "Su Yang, you are finally here, come in." "Father-in-law, why are you being so polite to me?" Su Yang smiled, then said puzzledly, "By the way, father-in-law, what did my mother-in-law ask me about? Why did she sound unhappy?" "It's because that night, you and Fixun, Kiki, that girl, is so quick-witted that she has told your mother-in-law about you." Li Kewu reminded, "Su Yang, your mother-in-law has taken good care of Fixun since she was a child, taught her to be well-educated, and trained her to be a lady from a noble family, but before you got married, when your mother-in-law found out, she was very angry. Not to mention her, even I felt like the cabbage I had worked so hard to grow was being pushed around by a pig." Li Kewu continued, "When you see your mother-in-law, no matter what she says, just pretend you didn't hear it. Don't argue with her. She's just venting, and everything will be fine afterwards." "Understood." Su Yang smiled and nodded, then said, "But father-in-law, we've been to the club together. We have a special bond. You'll have to put in a good word for me when the time comes." "Su Yang, you're getting ahead of yourself. Xuan is my daughter. You did something unruly, and you expect me to smooth things over for you, Li Kewu said, slightly annoyed. Father-in-law, if you can help me out, I'll treat you to a foot massage and a bath at Jade Finger Fairyland afterward, Su Yang promised. Jade Finger Fairyland, Li Kewu was immediately tempted, his eyes sparkling, but then he hid them. He patted Su Yang's shoulder and said seriously, Su Yang, that's being awkward. We've quickly become family. Isn't it only natural for me to help you? Don't worry, as long as I'm here, your mother-in-law won't dare to criticize you, then I'll leave it to you, father-in-law, Su Yang said with a smile. Don't be so polite, father-in-law, Li Kewu smiled, then suddenly remembered something and said, by the way, Su Yang, your grandfather has already told the Li family about your other identity. You're actually Su Xuantian, HMPH, what you did was truly dishonest. We were led to believe that Xuan had done something wrong to you. Su Yang, tell me, how are you going to make amends? Li Kewu said with a sullen expression. Ahem, Su Yang cleared his throat and said, how about, father-in-law, after we go to Jade Finger Fairyland, I'll treat you to the nightclub. It's just as good a place as the Jade Finger Fairyland, really? Li Kewu was instantly intrigued, but then said sternly, Su Yang, don't think I'll forgive you just because you've treated me to these two places. You've really tricked me, father-in-law, tell me what you can do to calm down, Su Yang said helplessly. HMPH, Li Kewu looked at Su Yang and said seriously, I want you to treat me to the nightclub twice? Su Yang's face suddenly became black, it seemed that his father-in-law was waiting for him here. Forget it. 2 times is 2 times, it won't cost much anyway. Su Yang readily agreed, and then walked into the Li family manor with Li Kewu. A few minutes later, Su Yang and Li Kewu appeared in the living room of the manor. In the living room, only Li Kiki was watching TV. She was lying on the sofa with bare feet, watching the chef Xiao Fuga while eating potato chips. Kiki, why are you alone? Where are your mother and your sister? Li Kewu asked. Oh, they are cooking in the kitchen, Li Kiki replied. I'll go to the kitchen, Kiki, chat with your brother-in-law. Li Kewu left a word and strode into the kitchen on the other side. At this moment, only Li Kiki and Su Yang were left in the living room. Li Kiki's gaze fell on Su Yang, and she greeted him with a smile. Brother-in-law's here? Yeah, Su Yang nodded, then turned to questioning. Kiki, I heard you told your mother-in-law about me and your sister. I let it slip, Li Kiki explained, then added, besides, you were leaning against the wall that day. Even if I didn't tell her, my mother would have found out sooner or later. Never mind, I won't bother with you. Su Yang glanced at Li Kiki and asked, Kiki, Fixun and your mother-in-law are cooking. Why aren't you helping? I can't cook, but I'm learning to cook, Li Kiki said seriously. Learning to cook? Watching the master chef Xiao Fuga learn to cook? You're truly talented, Su Yang rolled his eyes at Li Kiki, speechless. You're here. Just then, Han Yongsha and Li Fixun emerged from the kitchen. Han Yongsha looked at Su Yang and greeted him expressionlessly. Li Fixun stood beside Han Yongsha, wearing an apron and with flour on her face, looking rather adorable. Mother-in-law, wife, Su Yang greeted them both in turn. Why call her mother-in-law? And who is your wife? Han Yongsha said with a stern look. Su Yang, please watch your words. Fixun isn't even married to you yet. Isn't it too early to call her that? Su Yang rubbed the bridge of his nose and stood awkwardly by, unsure of what to say. Mom, Li Fixun glanced at Han Yongsha, slightly annoyed. Then she walked over to Su Yang and whispered, Su Yang, call me whatever you want. We're getting married soon anyway. Yeah, Su Yang smiled and nodded. A girl can't be kept at home, Han Yongsha sighed, then turned her gaze to Su Yang and said coldly, Su Yang, I already know you're Su Xuantian. In that case, our Li family doesn't owe you anything. Some things are better explained, Han Yongsha said calmly. When Li Fixun saw her mother's attitude, she took the initiative to hold Su Yang's hand to express her attitude. Su Yang felt a warmth in his heart. He held his wife's hand tightly, showed Li Fixun a doting smile, and then met Han Yongsha's gaze. Auntie, you can say whatever you want. Humph. Han Yongsha's gaze fell on the two people's tightly clasped hands. She snorted coldly and said, Su Yang, I accepted you before. Later, when I heard Kiki talk about you, I realized that your playboyish attitude was all a disguise. You are very good and know how to be patient. Now you are very powerful and a young talent worthy of trust. Originally, I was very happy and thought that Fixun had found the right person, But you should have had sex with Fixun before getting married. Mentioning what happened that night, Han Yangsha gritted her teeth and said, Su Yang, tell me the truth, what do you think of Fixun? In your eyes, Fixun is a plaything. Su Yang's face turned a little ugly when he heard this, and frowned. Auntie, what do you mean, if you didn't regard Fixun as a plaything? How could you have had sex with her before getting married? In my opinion, you don't love Fixun at all. You're just lusting after her body. All men are like that, once they get it, they don't cherish it. Han Yangsha said coldly, if I marry Fixun to you, it won't be long before you'll become cold to her, right? Su Yang, whether I'm saying it or not, please follow your heart and answer me truthfully, Han Yangsha demanded gravely. Wife. Just then, Li Kewu heard the noise and emerged from the kitchen, spatula in hand. Between the Jade Finger Wonderland and the nightclub, his son-in-law had been so kind to him. In this situation, he had to step forward and help him. So, Li Kewu cleared his throat, straightened his clothes, and said sternly, how can you talk to your son-in-law like that? He's not that kind of person. He treats Fixun. Han Yangsha turned, her eyes fixed on Li Kewu, and said coldly, get out. Okay. Li Kewu, not daring to utter a word, retreated dejectedly into the kitchen, spatula in hand. Chapter 423 Mother-in-law's approval. What the hell? Seeing Li Kewu rushing in and out, Su Yang was stunned. What the hell? Father-in-law, mother-in-law aren't beasts, are they really that scared? I despise you. Su Yang, Han Yangsha stared at Su Yang and said coldly, don't think. Answer my question. What does Fixun mean to you, Mom? Li Fixun tried to stop her mother. Don't say anything, Han Yangsha scolded, if I don't get to know you clearly today, I will never allow you to see Su Yang again. Seeing her mother's stubbornness, Li Fixun stopped talking and simply held Su Yang's hand, tightening her grip. Sensing his wife's nervousness, Su Yang lowered his head and gently soothed, don't worry, honey. I'll take care of this. Yes. Li Fixun's mood instantly relaxed, and a smile spread across her beautiful face. Han Yangsha observed this and felt a certain approval for Su Yang. In reality, she wasn't deliberately trying to make things difficult for him. As a mother, who doesn't want her daughter to marry a reliable man and live happily for the rest of her life? The reason why Han Yangsha gave Su Yang a cold look at this moment was to test Su Yang. First of all, she wanted to see Su Yang's character and temper. Under her difficulties, would Su Yang's true nature be revealed and fly into rage? If Su Yang bumped into her, it meant that Su Yang had a bad character, or at least a bad temper. Feijuan would definitely be bullied in the future if she followed him. Now Su Yang was not angry. Instead, he had a smile on his face and even comforted Feijuan. This was enough to show that Su Yang's temper was still good, and the first hurdle was passed. However, Han Yangsha also wanted to hear Su Yang's answer. What position did her daughter hold in Su Yang's heart? This is very important. Auntie, at this moment, Su Yang met Han Yangsha's gaze, and said calmly, my current answer to your question is not important. I can tell you that Fixun is unique in my heart, and she is the person I love the most, but these words are empty and powerless. There is no point in saying them, and you may not believe them. Su Yang held Li Fixun's hand tightly, looked at Li Fixun, and said seriously, Auntie, just wait and see what I do in the future. If I make Fixun unhappy, I am willing to accept any punishment from you. As for the relationship between Fixun and I that night, we were just deeply in love and did what we should do. It does not mean that I treat Fixun as a plaything, Su Yang said affectionately, because I love her and she loves me. I know that from now on, her man can only be me, and I am willing to take care of her for the rest of her life and give her happiness. So I took her first time with a clear conscience. Su Yang, Li Fixun was so moved when she heard this that she burst into tears, and threw herself into Su Yang's arms and hugged Su Yang tightly. Su Yang also embraced Li Fixun, and the two of them embraced tightly. Han Yangsha, seeing this, smiled with relief. It was clear that she was quite satisfied with Su Yang's answer. Some things were real, and Han Yangsha could see the deep love he held for her daughter in Su Yang's eyes. So, she was relieved and truly accepted Su Yang, and her expression softened. Alright, you're not embarrassed to hug in front of your parents, Han Yangsha said with a smile. It's almost 11 o'clock, and it's time for lunch soon. Su Yang, stay and have dinner before you leave, Auntie. Su Yang released Li Fixun, met Han Yangsha's gaze, and smiled. Did I answer well? What did you call me? Han Yangsha asked instead of answering directly. Auntie, what do you mean by auntie? Call me mother-in-law, Han Yangsha said sternly. Didn't you just say that you haven't gotten married yet, so you asked me to call you? Just now was just now, and now is now. Han Yangsha smiled lightly and said, Su Yang, you kid, you obviously know that you have passed the test, but you are still pretending to be stupid in front of me, right? Haha. Su Yang touched the bridge of his nose and smiled. My mother-in-law is wise, and my father-in-law is lucky to marry you. Stop flattering. Han Yangsha smiled, and then said, you should take a rest in the living room. Fixun, come with me to the kitchen. I will teach you a few specialties, and when you and Su Yang form a small family in the future, you can cook for Su Yang. Yeah, Li Fixun nodded, said goodbye to Su Yang, and walked into the kitchen with Han Yangsha. My mom doesn't cook often, but she cooks delicious dishes, especially her signature dishes. After the two left, Li Kiki smiled and said, brother-in-law, you're in for a treat. Haha, I haven't tried my mother-in-law's cooking yet, so today's a good time to give it a try. Su Yang smiled softly, then walked over and snatched Li Kiki's potato chips. You? Li Kiki put on her slippers and stood up, angrily saying, you even snatched your sister-in-law's snacks. How shameless. I didn't eat breakfast, so I'm going to eat this first, Su Yang said as he ate. You betrayed me and told my mother-in-law what happened that night. Take this half bag of potato chips as apology, tisk. Li Kiki curled her lips. Seeing that the chips were almost gone, she didn't continue the conversation, but asked, brother-in-law, where's my little brother Zing? I haven't seen him in a few days, and I miss him so much. You want him to take you to rob the Nine Gates black market? Su Yang asked back. What robbery? Li Kiki hurriedly explained. What happened before had nothing to do with me. He was determined to become a gangster. Su Yang smiled and said, alright, stop explaining. Let's not talk about those things. Zing is at the Su family manor. If you want to see him, just go over there. Yes, brother-in-law, then I'll be leaving first. Li Kiki smiled, eager to find Su Zing. She was counting on him to help her advance. Aren't you staying for lunch? No, I eat my mom's cooking all the time. It's nothing special to me. With that, Li Kiki hurried out of the living room. It's good that you're not eating. I can eat more. Su Yang smiled softly and sat on the sofa, watching TV while waiting for lunch. Although at his level, his food needs were not great, and he could easily eat once every 2 weeks, he was still looking forward to his mother-in-law's homemade dishes. At around noon, dinner finally arrived. Li Kewu and Han Yangsha had already brought the food to the table. Su Yang, accompanied by Li Fixun, walked into the restaurant. When he saw the dishes on the table, he was stunned, and the anticipation in his eyes turned into surprise. Stir-fried green peppers with goji berries, goji berry egg drop soup, goji berries in Beijing sauce, braised goji berries, all with goji berries. Chapter 424, Strong as an Ox. Su Yang was stunned. Was this the goji berry feast his father-in-law had been talking about? He wasn't sure if it would be good, but he was strong and healthy, so why should he eat this? Su Yang, please sit down. Don't stand. It's too awkward. We'll soon be a family, Han Yangsha said with a smile. Ever since she accepted Su Yang, her attitude toward him had changed dramatically. Her daughter would eventually leave the Li family and marry into the Su family. Han Yangsha understood that only if she treated her son-in-law well would he love Fixun even more, so she naturally wouldn't neglect him. Okay, thank you, mother-in-law, for your hospitality. Su Yang paused, then, realizing what was happening, sat down next to Li Fixun. Eat. Fixun and I cooked these dishes together. Eat more, Han Yangsha said with a smile. Okay, Su Yang smiled softly and picked up his chopsticks, but he couldn't decide which dish to take. Why, Su Yang, isn't there anything you like? Han Yangsha asked. Mother-in-law, Su Yang touched the bridge of his nose and said with a wry smile, well, actually, I don't like eating wolfberries. I'll just have rice for lunch today. Let's save this for my father-in-law. He's weaker and needs more nourishment than me. Your father-in-law? What nonsense are you talking about? Li Kewu, who was standing next to him, was embarrassed when he heard this. He said with a dark face, your father-in-law is as strong as an ox and doesn't usually eat wolfberries. Oxen? Unexpectedly, Han Yangsha heard this and said sarcastically, Li Kewu, you mean snails, which are so slow all day long. Ahem. Li Kewu was even more embarrassed. He tugged at Han Yangsha's sleeve and whispered, Yangsha, please save some face for me in front of my son-in-law. Han Yangsha stopped talking. Su Yang and Li Fixun, who were standing next to them, laughed out loud when they saw this scene. Su Yang, seeing this, Han Yangsha looked at Su Yang and said sternly, "What are you laughing at? Don't think I don't know. That morning, you leaned against the wall as you walked out of Fixun's room. You're no better than your father-in-law. Eat more goji berries. It's good for you and Fixun," Han Yangsha said seriously. Now it was Su Yang's turn to feel awkward. Under the pressure of his mother-in-law's gaze, he picked up a braised goji berry and popped it into his mouth. "Look at you, so polite. You should use this when eating goji berries," Han Yangsha smiled, then handed Su Yang a spoon and said, "Take the spoon and scoop it up. Don't lean against the wall next time. It's so embarrassing if it gets out." Su Yang wanted to find a hole to crawl into, but his mother-in-law spoke up, so he took the spoon and began to eat with big mouthfuls. Li Fixun watched from the side, but didn't try to stop him. Instead, she urged Su Yang to eat more. She felt that since her mother hadn't said anything, Su Yang needed to eat more goji berries. Lunch lasted for dozens of minutes before finally coming to an end. Afterward, Su Yang, Li Fixun, and his mother-in-law sat in the living room watching TV. As for Li Keru, he skillfully went to the kitchen to wash the dishes. Mother-in-law, Su Yang watched his father-in-law busy at work, suddenly feeling distressed. He said, "I'll go help him." "No need," Han Yangsha shook her head. "Su Yang, remember, a gentleman stays away from the kitchen. From now on, don't interfere in kitchen matters." Su Yang touched the bridge of his nose and smiled bitterly. "Then your father-in-law, he's different from you," Han Yangsha said seriously. "You are someone who can accomplish great things. Your future achievements are limitless. You shouldn't let the kitchen limit you. Your father-in-law is destined for a life of mediocrity. To be honest, he usually cooks, but today he's just washing the dishes. He's already very happy." Holy shit, is his father-in-law's life usually so miserable? Su Yang couldn't help but recall a sentence, feeling a surge of emotion. Marriage, what does it bring to a man? Ultimately, it was my father-in-law who shouldered it all. Su Yang, at this moment, Han Yangsha looked at Su Yang and talked about business. "Are your two children okay now?" Su Yang was stunned and said hesitantly, "Mother-in-law, you know everything." "Yes," Han Yangsha nodded and said, "Fei Zhuan told me that you had sex with that girl from the Jiang family. She gave birth to twins for you. They are now 4 years old." "Mother-in-law, Su Yang was about to explain. "Don't worry, I won't blame you," Han Yangsha smiled and said, "You're not to blame for what happened 5 years ago. Fixun told me you fell into someone else's trap. Now that Fixun is willing to accept Jiang Zuir, I naturally have no objection," Han Yangsha continued. "Besides, with your status and strength, it's normal for you to be surrounded by many women. Only outstanding men attract bees and butterflies, but I want you to promise that no matter how many women you have, your love for Fixun must be consistent. You must not let her down, otherwise." Han Yangsha stared at Su Yang and said in a deep voice, "I will make you pay a heavy price. As for whether I have the ability, believe it or not, I've already told you anyway," Han Yangsha added with a smile. "Mother-in-law, even if you don't say it, I will do this. Fixun will always be the one I love the most," Su Yang promised seriously. "Yes," Han Yangsha nodded gently, then said, "One more thing. When do you and Fixun plan to have children?" "Mom," Li Fixun blushed shyly, "why are you bringing this up all of a sudden? What's there to be embarrassed about?" Han Yangsha said sternly. "Jiang Zuir got 2 children in one go, giving birth to a perfect boy and a beautiful girl. Fixun, you have to prove you can be even more fertile than her." "Mom believes you." "Mom," Li Fixun lowered her head and said shyly, "if you bring this up again, I'll ignore you." Okay, I won't mention it." Han Yangsha smiled and changed the subject, chatting with Su Yang about something else. Half an hour later, Su Yang remembered that Shuftan was still home, waiting for him to bring her some clothes, so he stood up and said goodbye. Then, Su Yang and Li Fixun walked out of the Li family manor together. "Wife, I have some things to take care of in the next few days, so I'm afraid I won't be able to accompany you." Su Yang held Li Fixun's hand and assured her, "Don't worry, once everything is done, I'll go back to Jiangbei and never leave you." Yeah, Li Fixun really wanted to know what Su Yang was going to do, but she felt she shouldn't ask so many questions, so she nodded and said, "Su Yang, no matter what you do, be careful." "Haha, wife, don't worry about me. No one in the world can do anything to me now," Su Yang said confidently. "That's good," Li Fixun smiled and said, "By the way, Su Yang. Didn't you say before that you had found Jiang Zuir's whereabouts? If you have time, take her back to Jiangbei. Chapter 425 Jin Shangsu calls. Okay, this should definitely be put on the agenda, Su Yang agreed. He had already planned that after their trip to Wudang, they would first visit Mount Tai, then southern Anhui, to welcome back their mother and Jin Shangsu. Then, Su Yang and Li Fixun cuddled for a while longer, finally parting reluctantly. Li Fixun turned and walked into the manor, just in time to meet Li Kewu emerging. Dad, what are you doing out here? Li Fixun asked curiously. I'm seeing Su Yang off, he's our son-in-law, after all. Li Kewu smiled and said, Fixun, go inside. I have something to say to Su Yang alone. It's not appropriate for you to be present for a conversation between men. Yes, Dad, please don't make things difficult for Su Yang. Li Fixun, assuming Li Kewu was trying to urge Su Yang to be nice to her, gave him a warning and then entered the manor. After watching his daughter walk away, Li Kewu hurried over to Su Yang. By then, Su Yang was already in his car, about to drive away, the engine already running. Li Kewu approached the car and tapped on the window. Seeing this, Su Yang rolled down the car window and said with a soft smile, Father-in-law, what's going on? Unlock the car quickly. I need to get in, Li Kewu said excitedly, seemingly impatient. Get in? Su Yang asked doubtfully. Father-in-law, why are you getting in my car? To the Jade Finger Wonderland, of course. Su Yang's face darkened. Father-in-law, you stopped my car just to take you to the Jade Finger Wonderland. No, Li Kewu shook his head. Then what else? Su Yang was about to ask what his father-in-law was up to when Li Kewu suddenly added, I'm also going to the nightclub. Su Yang, that's what you promised me. Don't even think of breaking your promise, huh? Su Yang was stunned, his face darkening. It seemed his father-in-law still remembered this. Father-in-law, when this matter was brought up, Su Yang said dissatisfiedly, before, when facing my mother-in-law, you didn't even dare to fart. How dare you ask me to take you to the club now? I don't care. Let me get in the car quickly. Your mother-in-law is taking a nap. I have to go home before she wakes up, Li Kewu said hurriedly. Is that so? Su Yang hesitated. He didn't know his father-in-law's family status before, but now that he knew his father-in-law was so humble, he didn't dare to take him to the club. Of course, this was also for his father-in-law's good. After all, there is no wall that is impenetrable. What if his mother-in-law found out about his father-in-law going to the club? Would she break his legs? It's scary to think about it. With this thought, Su Yang looked towards the gate of the manor and said in pretended surprise, Hey, mother-in-law, when did you come? Did you hear what father-in-law said just now? What, Yangsha is here? Li Kewu's face changed drastically when he heard this. He knelt down with a thud, grabbed his ears with both hands, and didn't even dare to raise his head. He said in panic, Yangsha, listen to my explanation. It's not what you see. I didn't want to go to the club. It was Su Yang. This kid insisted on dragging me to the club for a massage and a bath. He wanted me to relax. I refused, but because of his filial piety, I didn't want to disappoint him, so Li Kewu explained in fear, but when he looked up, there was no Han Yangsha at the scene. Then he realized that he had been deceived. Su Yang, Li Kewu, furious, quickly stood up, only to find Su Yang had already driven away. He gritted his teeth and exclaimed, You boy, how disrespectful. Su Yang sped along, soon arriving at a large supermarket and buying several sets of girls' clothes. From spring to winter, from uniforms to casual wear, from outerwear to innerwear, he'd spent hundreds of thousands of yuan. Everything he bought was brand name, ensuring Shufan wouldn't have to worry about running out of clothes. Furthermore, Su Yang had also selected hundreds of thousands of yuan worth of clothing for himself, which he could store in his stored ring out of the way. He especially wanted those special work clothes, the small, boxy packaging. He bought hundreds of them, from various brands and styles, so he wouldn't have to worry about women using the lack of protective clothing as an excuse. After finishing everything, Su Yang reached the basement garage, preparing to drive back to his riverside villa. Suddenly, a call came in from southern Anhui. The caller ID read Jin Shangsu. Su Yang had called Jin Shangsu before, and the person who answered was Su Yaoyao. He asked Yaoyao to tell Jin Shangsu to find time to call him back. After that, Su Yang became busy and gradually forgot about this matter. Today, he finally waited for Jin Shangsu's call. Su Yang did not hesitate at all and decisively chose to answer the call. The call was connected, and both parties chose silence. Jin Shangsu, a woman who gave birth to 2 children for him. Facing her, Su Yang didn't know what to say. On the other side of the phone, Jin Shangsu sat upright in the hall, with no one around. She put the phone to her ear, listening to Su Yang's breathing, tears flashing in her eyes. She wanted to speak, but tears flowed first. Zuir, after a long silence, Su Yang smiled and said softly, "The phone bill is quite expensive. I feel so bad that we haven't talked." PFFT, Jin Shangsu laughed at this, wiped the tears from her eyes, and said, "Su Yang, you're still the same as before, always able to make me happy in your own unique way." Su Yang smiled, then asked doubtfully, "What did you just call me, Su Yang?" Jin Shangsu replied, "That's not right. In your perception, shouldn't I be Su Xuantian?" Su Yang chuckled softly. "Zuir, when did you know my identity?" "I guessed it the first time we met," Jin Shangsu said truthfully. Su Yang suddenly realized, then laughed. "So, you've been playing tricks on me this whole time, aren't you the same?" Jin Shangsu asked with a smile. Haha, Su Yang couldn't help but laugh, then said, "Zuir, I have a lot of questions in my mind. I wonder if you could answer them. Ask me. I can tell you. I won't hide anything," Jin Shangsu said gently. "Yes," Su Yang nodded gently, then asked his first question. "Zuir, since you are the leader of the Nine Gates Alliance, you must have been an ancient warrior 5 years ago, right? You had your identity and came to me. Even after I was drunk, you didn't resist what I did to you. Why exactly?" This question had been lingering in Su Yang's mind for a long time, and he still couldn't figure it out. "I can answer this question for you." Jin Shangsu hesitated for a moment, then said, "Su Yang, I actually had a purpose when I approached you from the beginning. Your Su family has an extraordinary origin. I wonder if Grandpa Su has confessed it to you." "Yes, I know everything. The Su family is from Kunlun. And my great-grandfather is Su Wuji." Su Yang nodded. "Now that you know, my explanation is simple," Jin Shangsu smiled and said, "Although your Su family is in trouble now, someone told my grandfather that the Su family will surely return to its peak and dominate the world in the future, and that you, Su Yang, will one day become the overlord of the earth." Jin Shangsu continued, "So I deliberately approached you, hoping to establish a good relationship with you and create cause and effect. That way, when you rule the world, the Nine Gates Alliance will be under your protection." End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.